Madam Mayor, it's 6:07 and we are live.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular City Commission of Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. Can I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Resch.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mimi May.
Present.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga.
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy had a family emergency. He apologizes for unexpectedly being able to attend the meeting in person or by Zoom. And I have two statements to read during the meeting when the appropriate time comes. And Commissioner Anthony Segrich.
Present.
I'm sorry, did you not hear that, Madam Mayor?
Well, we did, and we weren't. I'm not sure about readings. I don't know what you're talking about, and I wonder
I never knew that was
if we should have. We haven't done that.
Never.
Well, he emailed the city manager.
I understand that. I understand that.
Okay, that's fine. If you,
Okay, Miss
I
May
don't
is
have to
here.
read them.
Are you going to go down? Okay. Mr. Perry's going to talk to the city attorney because she wants to be put on the spot. Miss May is here and Mr. Zegridge is here. Oh, you did that. Oh, I didn't hear that. Okay. I was so concerned about the other thing. Commissioner Malega will lead us in the moment of silence or invocation, and Mr. Segridge will lead us in the pledge.
Thank you all for being in attendance tonight. Today, I ask that we just bow our heads. May we consider ourselves an extended family. May we be kind with our words, soft with our actions. May we govern in the best way possible for today and tomorrow and the future of the city of Lake Worth Beach. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you to all the gentlemen who took off their hats. That was very nice.
Okay, are there any additions, deletions, or reordering? I have a thing I'm thinking about, but I like to let everybody go first to see what they're thinking about. Miss May.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to make a motion to table the item that is listed as unfinished business B to the end of July and to direct staff to go back and to negotiate with the representatives from the beach club and come back to us with after doing one-on-ones and after negotiating, come back to us before their lease renewal date of August 1st with a new negotiation of terms.
And not do the ITN.
Not do the ITN.
Even though we have just, the history, we authorized the ITN to go forward.
I do.
Okay. Can I just comment on that?
Of course.
Oh, thank you. I totally understand. And I've been thinking about this a lot. I was going to talk about this. I've been thinking about this a lot. I am a great, we have to make our decisions when we get the facts before us, when we make any decisions. I think everyone knows that Benny's Beach Club is beloved. And it's the place I take my friends when they come to Intertown. It's a fabulous place. And I also realize that we have pretty much a fiduciary duty. If we don't send out, and here's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't send out an ITN, and sending one out doesn't mean you're a fan of any particular thing. I think that we face criticism if we don't do an ITN, because we could be criticized then for saying, listen, the city, we talk about money, we talk about, the city kind of needs to look around and see if there's any options. I have friends in the audience who work at the Beach Club, and I love it. But I've been really struggling with this because I emotionally just want to do the same thing. So can I hear from anybody? Mr. Segridge.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I don't think we can really take action other than addition or removal of something from the agenda at this time. I believe I was told that in the past. Um,
Hold on, is that, Elizabeth, can I make the motion that I put up?
This is the portion of the agenda that's additions, deletions and reordering. So if you want to just remove it, that's typically what you would do here. If you want to give direction or alternative direction, typically you would bring that up during the item.
But if we table it, there won't be a discussion.
Yeah, so if we table it to, I can give direction if I table it.
Well, I think if,
I didn't know, I don't want to, but wherever you're going with it kind of depends on
Yeah.
the motion that I just made.
yeah. So,
Can I do that or not?
It's really up to
To the
you all as
commission.
and how you want to run the meeting and how
Yeah.
you want to take the motion. If everybody's okay with there being a motion on the table at this point to give direction as part of your taking it off the agenda, then that's okay.
Because if I just make a motion to remove it from the agenda, which I don't have a problem with, then there is no item to discuss. Therefore, there wouldn't be any time to bring that up unless I brought it up in my own commissioner comments, which if that's what you guys want me to do, that's what I'll do. But I don't want to have a whole discussion tonight. I want to send staff back to negotiate. I don't want to go into any terms or conditions this evening publicly before staff has a chance.
okay, Mr. Segridge.
so yeah, the only reason why I question that is because I was admonished for trying to do that before. So, but if we can do that, great.
With-
Noted.
With,
So in terms of this item, I had spoken to Mitch, several times and I brought up to the agenda, the desire to table it because he asked, because he was away this weekend, table discussion. So I am in favor of tabling the discussion at Mitch's request, till he gets back so that he can be here to participate in whatever public discussion is being had. In terms of dropping the ITN altogether, I think the ITN is the only thing that brought them back to the table, in terms of negotiating. And now that the ITN is a possibility, all of a sudden we're getting progress in negotiation. And sometimes that's business, right? Sometimes it takes the carrot and the stick to get something done. So I am okay with tabling the discussion of the ITN until Mitch has returned and negotiated in good faith. But I don't want to abandon the ITN altogether. There are a number of items, deficiencies, patterns, and so on, that have led us down this road, to looking to explore that. So I'm in favor of tabling it. I proposed that before, and it's tabling it at Mitch's request. Not because I want to delay it or delay the discussion or deny the good people here the ability to speak on it, but the owner requested it. So I'm in favor of giving him what he wanted.
Okay, but I'm not, so let's make sure we know that if we're talking about the same thing, because I'm not really sure we are.
right.
I'm suggesting that we table. I guess I'm not. I guess I'm suggesting that we remove the item and that we do not continue with the ITN. And then we give Mitch the opportunity to negotiate. If he can't come into terms that are agreeable by both the beach club and the city, because there are issues we need to handle.
We're all aware of them.
If we can't come into agreement by the time his 1 year extension is due, then we'll sign the 1 year extension and we'll put it out for ITN.
When
But
is,
between now and then, we should give him the ability, because he has been there a long time. But we'd have him have the ability to come in, negotiate, and see what terms we can come to. And then from there, if we can't, we can't. But I think we give it the opportunity. I don't wish to put out an ITN right now.
How much, oh, just one question. How much time are you thinking about?
Well, only because August 1st is when he needs to have signed the 1-year extension. So if it's along those same times, it would have to be by August 1st, and July 30th is the meeting before that.
Okay, Ms. Malega.
Thank you. So I do go to the beach club. I want to keep successful businesses in town. I want to keep people employed. But at the same time, we had a lease conversation and this person didn't even come to the lease conversation that was on the agenda. And Mr. Segrich has zoomed all the way from across the world before. And this is not about a certain person's lease. This is about city-owned property and us being good stewards. Just like I said before, I have nothing against the beach club. Do I want the beach club to stay there? Yes. Do I want them to succeed? Do I want a better business plan? Yes. Do I want things to be fixed? Of course. I don't believe the carrot and the stick is what happened. I think that unfortunately, and I'm going to be honest, this city has been ran for decades on handshakes and relationships behind closed doors. And unfortunately, when you have those kind of agreements, it says, yes, here's a usage agreement, or yes, you can do this and not pay the fair share of this is public owned property. This needs to be addressed. So with all due respect, Vice Mayor, I know that, and let's be honest, we're in the middle of a campaigning season until March. So I want to do the right thing for the city today and tomorrow. I don't want to take the ITN off the table. When we had the lease conversation, nobody was here, not the manager, not the owner, not their lawyer, was in this room when we talked about the lease extension. And, unfortunately, you can't continue to kick the football down the field. So I do not want to pull the ITN. I don't think that this has anything to do with one particular person's lease. We had an interim city manager who sat in that seat for a very long time. And when we went out to hire a city manager, you know what he was told? Apply for the job. And now we're essentially telling a person who's a leasee, if you have put a business plan in, we need to do what's best for the city. Right now, we have $1.8 million in needs just in the irrigation system. That golf course is sinking. We need to make sure that we can get out of the red and every year be able to do what we need to do to run the city. We all know the financial challenges that we're meeting. And I don't think that I do want everything to be affordable for all the businesses in town, but now I know that the servers are getting paid $12 an hour at most places. They're not getting paid $3 an hour like 10 years ago. The cost of everything is going up. When eggs go up, the restaurants are hit. When, tin goes up, they're hit. There's a bottom line cost, but at the same time, we have to do what's right for the city and be fiduciary responsible. I do not support pulling the ITN. But to play fair, I would give them until the next meeting for the ITN to be in this room for the ITN conversation for the next meeting at the end of July or the first meeting in July.
But not negotiate with them.
We've already renegotiated. They didn't come. They weren't here. But come here, stay. I want to hear from the public. I don't want to kick this down for the beach club. I want to know what really does this person want? Because I haven't heard from this person. He's never picked up the phone and called me. Nobody's ever called me from the beach club and said, here's what we want to do. And they've heard me loud and clear on this dais and at the pre-agenda meeting. And everybody else who's ever needed anything from me blows my phone up. So it's not that they didn't know how to get a hold of me. So I'm not trying to say no to the beach club. I'm just saying I do not want to take the ITN off the table. I support Commissioner Segrich in that endeavor. I don't know where we're going to go because now we only have 2 people up, but we're missing a person up here. So it's, there's not 5 of us. I would be in favor of postponing the ITN until Mitch was here, if that's really what he needed. But I would not be in favor of pulling the ITN and letting, and again, I hate the fact that we even ask our staff to negotiate leases. That's not their job.
Well, I
It's real
don't
estate's
necessarily
job.
agree with you on that, but
I mean,
we
honestly,
different opinion on
I
that.
understand we do, but to me, it's not, I really wish we had somebody who was doing fair market value on all of these leases.
We
Every time
have-
a lease comes up, it's a political football in the city.
That's being worked on. Do we have a day?
We have a second,
We haven't-
a second opinion
Okay.
on the market value going out.
Okay, but how do you know that? And I
It
don't
was
know
in the-
that.
Because it was in the email that we got from the lawyers. It's in the email that we got in the lawyers.
But it's not part of the backup.
Okay, but we know that because it's
It's not part of the backup.
fine.
So, excuse me.
Folks, really,
So the bottom line is,
obviously this is delicate.
I am not trying
complicated.
to shut any business. I mean, honestly, people who are in this room, I've tipped them. I go to the restaurants. I want to do what's right for the city, because in a year from now, the decisions that we make up here are going to greatly affect the city financially. That's the bottom line. So I am in favor of removing the ITN at Mitch's request until he can be here at the end of the month or in the first meeting of July and hear what he has to say. I may change my mind then, but I will agree to that. I will not agree to getting rid of the ITN right now.
But that you would consider it if there was if you were presented with some substantial competent evidence to withdraw.
Correct. I mean, I just, show face to send all your staff here and your legal representation on the ninth hour when you should have been here when we first did the lease conversation.
Mhm.
That to me that's not good faith.
Okay.
And I don't want, he could have been here on Zoom, takes 45 minutes to whatever we get through the conversation, but I will support in postponing the ITN to the next available meeting, whatever that is.
Ms. May.
Yes.
How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, I made my motion, so we can vote on it.
Okay, so, all right, so your motion is to take this off the agenda.
Yep. And
And-
have staff negotiate with Mitch and see if they can come to some terms. It doesn't have to be a 10-year lease. It could be, something that is good for us, for the city and for them. But if it can't be done, then it can't be done. But
And what,
you could knock it down and make another motion. I don't care, but
Has there
let's
been a
move
second?
on. No,
Okay. Mr. Segridge?
I was just going to say, he, based on the timeline, they currently have been negotiating with staff.
A little bit, yeah.
And to my knowledge, no new lease has been proposed
just the one extension.
from us,
Right.
but there's been nothing that's come forward from Mitch to.
No, that's not
to-
true. Read the email from today. He did come forward with terms.
Okay, so he's come forward with his terms.
Yes.
Okay. So they have until the next meeting to work those out. And then that will be information for us at the next meeting.
Okay.
And at the next meeting, we can hear discussion on it. Mitch will be here,
Okay.
hopefully. And we will have information back from staff on how realistic or not realistic
When
that
the
is.
market, do we know when that's going to come in? Madam Attorney,
Or Troy.
somebody, anybody?
I do not know about that.
Because we asked for it a few months ago.
Have to check with staff and find out because we were looking for a second company to perform it. So I'll check with staff and see how far along we are in securing that second company.
Okay.
And we'll get it to you.
The second company, did the first one?
Remember, we had done about 6 months to a year ago. We had
So with
the
the,
study.
with the market analysis, we need to decide as a city whether that beach club is an amenity or if it's something we're looking to profit from. If we want it to be cheap eats, cheap burgers, the kind of comfort food and stuff that it is now, you can't go for maximum market rent. You go for maximum market rent, you get maximum market
That's
tenants.
the danger that I think everyone is
And
in.
so I'm less worried about what a market analysis says, but also because we are looking at hopefully trying to majorly renovate our golf course. And you're not going to get somebody to come in and invest $200,000 in a build out and not be able to give them a 10-year lease with 2-5 extensions on it. It's just not going to happen. And so it's either, we're making the choice that maybe in the next 5 years, we're going to be renovating that golf course, which means the operation of that business does need to shut down during those renovations, or it gets significantly scaled back depending on the plan, right? But if there's no golfers coming, there's not a lot of guests going as well. So I'm not as worried about the market analysis. I think we've gone around enough. Unfortunately, I'm not going to second permanently taking it off the table. Does anyone want to second Ms. Mays, or I'll make a
Just-
motion?
Point of information for you all,
Okay.
to have an agenda on for your July 7th meeting. It would be, have to be basically finalized end of next week.
Right.
So it's not.
I think
Well,
that's
if we're
a
just
little
moving-
too quick.
If we're just moving the ITN, then whatever staff's doing behind the scenes is fine.
Mhm.
But, so you withdrawing your motion or you want us to vote on it?
It doesn't matter. There's no second.
Okay,
No second.
so I will make a motion to postpone the ITN for the next available meeting, which would be July 7th.
Either June 30th or July 7th.
Well, depending on how heavy June 30th is, because it's our
And-
electric.
Yeah, and also July 7th. I mean, that's a lot of work. I mean, I'm just, whatever happens, happens, but 4th of July, there's Friday off, that's a lot to do, but if that's what everybody wants,
But today's the 16th, so there's
Yeah.
3 weeks.
today's the 16th, all right.
So I make a motion to set it to June 30th.
Whoa.
I put July 7th.
I'm
July
sorry.
7th.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
I respectfully request we not add any more items to June 30th. We have like 20 items on there already.
So go
Okay,
to June, go
July
to July
7th.
7th.
Yeah. So your motion is to just postpone this to July 7th.
Yes, so the motion is to postpone unfinished business B, invitation to negotiate for the golf club house restaurant lease till July 7th. And staff to be working behind the scenes with the current leasee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fine, thank you. Which means, folks, the many of you have come to talk about this agenda item. There's not going to be one. So
They can also talk during public.
you can talk, wait, let me, if you still want to talk about it, we'll just do it under public participation of non-agenda items. Yeah, you'll get to speak just sooner than you expected. Okay. New business. Ginny gave me 2 cards.
She
Okay.
gave you one for each one.
No, they're both of the beach club.
No, that's
Oh, Benny's B. Oh, no, that,
This
was
is all Benny.
Benny, okay.
Leave that till later.
Okey doke. Are your lights on for a reason, folks? Okay.
I
All
make
right.
a motion to accept the agenda as revised.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Anthony?
Okay, did you, your light, Mr. And somebody turn their light on. Okay, so now we are at public participation of non-agenda items, which you're all gonna use as the beach club thing. So Ginny Powell, followed by Kim Stokes. Yeah. Yeah, because they're here, they want to talk, and I think they should be.
Jenny Powell, 224 North Palm Way. Well, this has thrown a little wrench into the fan, but I will try. I felt like the ITN process is premature because I don't, there's this online petition. Lots of people value the golf course, restaurant, beach club for a lot of reasons, and they're very passionate. There was the online petition, a lot of comments on Facebook, and I really think, I know that some people want that to be something other than what the rest of the people want it to be, but I think we need to listen to the people. I think this is one reason why amendments 2 and 3 failed, because people weren't listened to, and they didn't want other people making those decisions for them. So I hope you will consider, at least in any new ITN, looking at what is your vision. I don't think that's clearly defined, and sit down with the people who we know love that place, which is most of us. Yes, it's not perfect. It needs improvements. And I actually am glad that you're postponing this, because I felt like the pre-agenda meeting was a little mean-spirited, and they did not want to allow Mitch to come back from his vacation and discuss it. And I heard varying stories about why he didn't come the first time, that he wasn't aware of it. Maybe he was. But I was at that meeting also. So I say, what is your vision? Define your vision. Work with the people to define a vision that's workable for that restaurant. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Ms. Stokes, all right, we have a lot of, let's not do it because we're trying to get through this I understand the enthusiasm. Stokes, followed by Ms. Fisher.
Right. Kim Stokes, 1321 North L Street. I did agree with one thing that Commissioner Cedric said, and I really think you guys need to decide and be fully honest with the public about what you want for that space. I know what I want for that space. I will always choose a community-based restaurant there over a tourist-based profit maximizing venue. That's what I want. That's what I believe a lot of the people here want. And you want, if you're going to continue, please stop interrupting me, Mayor. If you're going to continue with this ITN, I ask that you make it very clear what you want or do more community engagement and find out what the people in the city want. You all throw it around fiduciary responsibility when it suits you, and then you ignore it many other times. I do feel like, because of my experience, I do need to mention one thing. Well, two things actually. When I was up here for 3 years, I never heard anybody complain about Mitch or the beach club from staff, code. I never heard any of that. Staff never brought anything to me that he was a bad tenant. And I never heard anything about the beach club other than something, oh, maybe the service could be a little faster. Things you hear normally. There was never any red flags or alarms thrown up. So this seems to be coming out of nowhere to me. And then I do want to remind everybody that we have other tenants who have not shown up to city meetings when they had items on the agenda. Lee Lipton was one of them when his lease was up and we were negotiating it. And he was not at that meeting until he came at the end and decided that he needed to whip into here. So you're holding Mitch to a higher standard than you are the other tenants. And I don't think that's fair. And it doesn't look like you're operating in good faith. You don't negotiate from the dais. So when you say he didn't come here when the item was on the agenda to negotiate, that looks a little like you're losing some credibility there. The negotiations should happen with somebody from staff or somebody operating on staff's behalf where you can work things out and come to an agreement, but you have to let them know what you're looking for, and you have to be good faith actors. So I appreciate you giving everybody who took their time out tonight to speak under non-agenda items and informing them of their right to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fisher. Followed by Aaron Blussel. Oren from Boyne. Okay. Ms. Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor. Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I was here on April 21st when this item came before you all for direction. And you all had a lot of discussion during that time. And I have notes of what I wrote down in terms of things you brought up, which was paying a portion of the utilities, paying part of CAM, all of the things that haven't been done for the whole term of the lease so that ultimately taxpayers are paying those items. And as a taxpayer and a homeowner, I think that's appropriate. I enjoy going to the beach club. Used to take my mother there all the time and she enjoyed it. So I don't have any problem with that. I have a problem that there are so many things that were disclosed at that April meeting that have not been shared with a lot of people who are sitting here in terms of the rent, the market rent that was brought up, which I agree. If you're going to ask for top market rent, you expect a certain level of service, but they weren't even near that. Miss May, Vice Mayor May brought up, she had talked to Mitch. She had met with Mitch. Staff had met with Mitch. Other people had met with Mitch. And I was sitting in this room before Miss May ever was on this dais when a former commissioner said, when we were looking at leases like Benny's and the whole thing that came up, well, I want to look at the beach club lease. So to say, it's never been a concern. It was at that point. All the other than Benny's up at the casino, all those leases came up without any comment, discussion, or anything else about doing an extension on their lease. All of them just were yes, 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 yes. So I think we need to be good stewards, as Commissioner Malega said, and look at what's best for the city. And that makes it what's best for the residents who live in the city. It's not for me to negotiate or say anything, but I do know that there were discussions based on the comments from staff and from you all at the April meeting. There were discussions with Mitch about this, and it was brought forward. And this is a public notice. This is on the website. If you follow what's going on in the city, you know what's going on. And so to say this was in any way hidden is not the truth. And I just think postponing it until you can keep negotiating and see where you come. I wouldn't be in favor of postponing it until 2 days before the lease is up, because you all made a commitment at the April meeting to extend it until April, to give a 1-year extension to April of next year at a certain rate with certain conditions on that. And so
Thank you.
that needs to be brought forth. Thank you.
Oren Blucell, I'll call that name again, or he wrote something, maybe he, and some Lord Eric Paul Alexander Simons Jr. Okay, they have the same, 8363 Mildred Drive, West Boynton Beach. This is Lord Eric Paul Alexander Simons Jr. I support keeping the Lakewood Golf Club open. It's a valuable community asset that provides affordable recreation, supports local towns, provides green space, and contributed to the quality of life for residents of all ages. I've been here for years. Let's keep going. And then Oren Blucell of 8363 Mildred Drive in West in Boynton Beach. It's a local place that I have gone and been welcomed, a part of family, not to mention the support of local business. Okay. Chris Fleming, followed by Carrie Sobel. You're passing? Passing. New see? Okay, Carrie Sobel. Both of them were B, unfinished and new business, like.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Since you pulled the item, I'll save my pre-written speech and focus on exclusively. I think the misunderstanding of our lack of attendance is due to a lack of notice. In fact, we had no direct notice of this meeting today. It was only learned through a member of the media that had contacted Mitch shortly before, and he unfortunately had no time to change his family vacation to be present. Not everybody sits around and watches the agenda. Some people have more free time than others. Some people run businesses and work 80 hours a week. And unfortunately, we were not at that meeting, and I wish we had been, because we found out the hard way how important it was. But what I'd really like to focus in on is I am the attorney. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself right. It's been a long time since I spoke. At Carrie Sobel, 2875 South Ocean Boulevard, Suite 200. I'm the attorney for Mitch Reel and the Beach Club. I apologize for that, City Clerk.
Sorry.
I have been in regular negotiations with your attorney, Glenn Torsivia. As recently as yesterday, I spoke to him. Apparently, he's also out of town, which is why he's not present. And he tells me he will have at least the extension to me sometime next week. We were in regular negotiations on the full lease term. And to be clear, we have a lease that has a renewal option, and we're exclusively asking for the renewal option to be given and negotiated. We are in full negotiations. We have been until one day he just went silent, and we found out the hard way that there was an ITN on the agenda. So we're very apologetic that we were not present to defend ourselves or to answer any questions. I think there's certainly some misinformation, and we weren't here to provide our side of the story, so to speak. So going forward, we'll be sure to keep a closer eye on your agendas, because we don't follow the agenda, right? Because, we're not trying to micromanage the city. Mitch is trying to run his business, and I'm trying to do my job. But we are in negotiations with the city attorney. I don't contact the staff directly. As you know, I cannot negotiate with you on the dais. But most importantly, of anything, the beach club is literally woven into the fabric of this community. And I think your commissioner raised a very valid point that, yes, you probably can get more money. But what are you going to get in return for that money? I'm not sure the city of Lake Worth and its residents and the people who come from outside the city are going to be happy with what you get if you get the highest dollar value for the location. But thank you for postponing it and allowing us to prepare and to have Mitch present physically, because this is his livelihood. And we look forward to continuing to negotiate, and hopefully we can close a deal and avoid the need to go to the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ali. Quickly. Ali Mendia. Ali Mendia, followed by Lori Whitkin. Ali? Ali, Ali. However many ways you can pronounce that. Thank you. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Ali Mendia, and I live at 1701 North J Street. I have been an employee of Mitch's since the early 90s, starting at Bradley's, moving Palm Beach, then the downtown Bradley's, West Palm. I also worked and helped manage the West Palm Golf Course while he and I were there. And I am currently a bartender at the local one. I am one of the employees that have been with him for over 20 years. And I think that level of loyalty says a lot about the environment and the people. I also personally have a child, and I've seen many children of our employees, patrons, and other people that come to our restaurant get jobs and have their first jobs at the beach club, because that's where they were little kids and came to have fun and were raised and went on to get a job at the beach club. I've watched the beach club grow from a small shack to what it is today. Regulars become part of your family. We share weddings, birthdays, and other celebrations in and out of the beach club walls. We have a true sense of community and family in a world that is changing very fast. These kinds of relationships are not something you can rebuild somewhere else. My concern is that a new tenant brought in would not only change the ownership, it would also mean that myself and 40 of my other employees or co-employees would be left without jobs, along with the loss of a place that many of us have dedicated years of our lives to caring for. I'm asking you to consider not only the process of new bids, but also to the people behind the business and the community that depends on it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Ms. Whitkin, followed by Brandon Clark.
Okay, hello, Lori Whitkin, North Lakeside Drive. The beach club is kind of a special place, and I know you all like to go there. I go there over on the golf course, several times a week. It's a big asset to our neighborhood. Most of my neighbors all go. It's a place you can bring children, which there aren't that many of. It's reasonably priced, which is very important, at least to me, and I think to a lot of other people. And I don't understand why you want to change something that works so well. If it was just a restaurant, people said, I go there every once in a while, no big deal. But even you all say you love going there. And I understand the city needs money, but you can't make money on everything. You also have to have services for your people. And we're not losing money on it. We're still making money. And okay, maybe you can get more rent, but is that restaurant going to last? I mean, most restaurants do not have a long lifespan. Just look on Lake Avenue, how they come and go. No guarantee somebody else comes in there is going to make it. At least you have somebody who's established, knows how to run the business that he's running, and is unlikely to go out of business on you and then leave you owing all this rent. So you kind of have to weigh what's important for the community and also what's important for the city. And sometimes making the most money doesn't even work in the long run. You can charge a higher rent, but are you really going to get it in the long run? Because some of these rents are a little crazy. And that's why I think a lot of restaurants don't make it. And I just can't imagine not being able to just go out there and you sit there and have something to eat and have a nice drink. And just like the setting is just beautiful. and somebody just coming in and just sort of changing all that and it's friendly. You always feel like comfortable there. And I would really hate to lose something like that. And so I think you really think about what's really best for the city, and somehow sometimes the finances are not the most important. I mean, I don't mind if you want to raise the rent a little bit. Obviously rents go up, but to look for top dollar, we may not get what we want or something that might even last up there. Thank you.
Thank you. Brandon Clark. Oh, there you go. Followed by
Brandon Clark, 529.
by Samantha Cole. Just to give people on deck.
You want
Followed by
to,
Samantha Cole. Go ahead.
Brandon Clark, 529 South L Street. So I've been a resident here for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of growth in this city in 10 years, and I've seen a lot of decline in this city in 10 years, especially in the downtown area where families can't go out with their families without having to look over their shoulder at the problems that are on Lake Ave. So this brings us to the Beach Club, where families can go. I hear people talk about being good stewards. I hear about, oh, it's where we can get cheap food. It's not about the cheap food. If you go on any given night, yes, there's golfers there, but there's also tons of other people that aren't golfers. I implore you, on a Friday night, come down when it's children's night. That is a place where I could bring my child and let my child run around free, where I can't even do that at Bryant Park because we can't clean up the drugs in that park. But we want to sit here and try and get more money, which this is what it really seems like, is about money. And I get things are about finances, but when you have a place that's been here for almost 2 decades, they're doing something right. And you want to use the word good stewards, then continue to be good stewards and don't let greed be the sin that it is. Thank you.
Thank you. You're kind of an irrepressible crowd, I see. Samantha. Cole, thank you.
Yes.
Followed by John Bennett.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm one of the managers at the Beach Club currently. I've been a patron there for over 10 years. I've watched my children enjoy it throughout the years as well.
Your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Samantha Coles, 4746 Canal Drive. So I have seen firsthand that it is more than just a restaurant. The Beach Club has become a place where people can come all throughout the holidays. Whether they have family, don't have family, they're able to be surrounded by familiar faces and enjoy themselves. What makes the Beach Club special is its people. Our regulars support us year after year, especially during the slow summer months when our seasonal residents head north and the golf course is often closed due to rain. That sense of community and loyalty simply cannot be replaced by a new tenant. In just a few short days, we have more than 1,300 signatures for a petition in support of keeping the Beach Club where it is. We also provide a space for local vendors, musicians, small businesses to host events that bring the community together and support the local economy. I ask that you consider not only the bidding process, but also the employees, the customers, the local businesses, and community members who have helped make the Beach Club what it is today, as this is clearly something that the community does not want to change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Bennett, followed by Taylor Bennett. What? Oh, okay. John Bennett of 1701 North Lakeside. Beach Club is a staple in the community. It holds a special place in our heart. Let the Beach Club legacy live on. And Taylor Bennett, also of 1701 North Lakeside. Beach Club is a place to go and love. It's a family that employs amazing people. Please don't let our family be gone, be something. Elizabeth Riley. Nope, she's gone. She didn't write anything, so that's it. What? Where? Oh, she's passing. Is she here? That's you. Okay.
Actually, your name.
I know. I'm looking at this. Lori Whitkin, you just spoke already. County. Okay. I've been going to her address is 933 Bradley Court, West Palm Beach. I've been going to the Beach Club since I was 13. I am now 24. I got the opportunity to work here and am now feeling like I am part of the family and community. Thank you very much. Yeah. That's it. Where's the rest? Yeah, we need. Oh, they're hidden. All right, we have a bunch more. Okay, okay. Oh, okay, sure. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, yeah. We want to hear as many people as we can. Rebecca Bryant. Okay, 503 North East Street. The Beach Club saved our wedding after our original venue closed and kept our money. Mitch did everything to ensure we had a nice night. They are an asset and we need people who help out. That's who Lake Worth Beach is. Thank you. Todd Townsend, followed by Alan Nosworthy.
Hi. Hello. Hi, Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. I wanted to first speak to Commissioner McVoy. I commend you're hitting the brakes on the garage. By the way, we're moving over to the garage for the moment. I commend you for hitting the brakes on the garage. You, like everyone else, know that we need more parking downtown, but recognize the ambush that we're being walked into. So I call that good leadership, and thank you. Secondly, I've designed a pedestrian bridge that goes over Dixie Highway from City Hall to the Zoo Fitness building, which will make the unused Bohemian Garage user-friendly and more downtown. And this bridge will also join the two downtowns. This is an option that should be explored before a $10 million disaster is performed. Next, keep going here. For Mr. Sigrich, the garage is actually mostly inapplicable for your full-size truck. And I just felt really bad that Commissioner Malega actually was laughing at you about that at that meeting. What was that last week? It just really threw me off, So next, you people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars putting up new electrical poles, and now you're like, let's just bury those. Let's just go out and bury those, So back to the garage again. We've got Commissioner May here, who's like, oh, once the garage is built, we can just like take away all the other ground parking and behind the shops and build more development. So like, where are those numbers? Is that real? And then Malega, not too long ago, after
It's Commissioner Malega.
Commissioner Malega. Oh, I humbly apologize, darling.
I also think you're
Yes.
supposed to address us all in general, not specifically. Point
Okay.
of order, Mayor.
So hold on, I'm reclaiming my time.
I want to hear more about what I'm planning to do.
Okay, I'll get to you in a second. Okay. Well, I got more.
No, stop.
Okay. My time starts as of now, right? So as Commissioner Malega actually said, after the Wiener high rise, after the Wiener high rise, she wouldn't build any other tall buildings downtown, yet the CRA is planning on doing just that. So then the CRA just posted on Facebook that the Pocket Park at First in South K is to be sold for a 5-story apartment building, and that garage will be leasing and those units will be leasing spaces in the new garage. So what about the public, And then Mr. Waters just said, we'll have to find a temporary parking place for 30 South J Street during the construction of the garage. That actually meant to mow down the Pocket Park at First and K for a temporary parking situation and then build the CRA high rise right there. So like that was really, I just can't believe people are skirting that issue. So at the end here, before she calls me out, we lament all of this oral flatulence as a sign that this body politic is about to move and that we are all below. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan. I don't either. Alan Nosworthy, followed by Jill Carlin. Oh, this is about education.
Alan Nosworthy, 11 2nd Avenue South. The Education Task Force has spent nearly 5 years meeting at least monthly during the school year. We interviewed representatives from each school, as well as people in positions that influence our schools. We attended SAC meetings at each school. We hosted a breakfast, bringing together all the school's attendance officials. We built relationships we were tasked to build, and we have gathered, researched, and discussed the data we collected. We have hundreds of hours in this pursuit. About a year ago, we presented to the commission that the universal issue of all the schools, that all of the schools are having, is absenteeism. Each school had its own unique and grassroots solution. However, the overarching theme of the solutions was mentorships. Some were school-based mentorships, and others were community-based. To this end, the task force wrote an outline or a draft of a grant program to help the schools foster and create mentorship programs focused on attendance. We agree with the commission. $10,000 dropped into each school's multi-million-dollar budget would have no real effect. However, if the money were designated as we recommended and as the schools requested to the very specific issue of attendance, and we can use data to show our successes, that would be money well spent for the entire community. The money could help change the tide and put a spotlight on the fact that you cannot do well if you do not show up for school. The task force asked multiple times to be involved in or to review the grant before it was presented to the commission, and we were denied that access. The current grant does not reflect our findings, the school's requests, or our recommendations, nor does the grant reflect the presentation we made to the commission. We feel that this is a lost opportunity and the commission should reconsider the wording of the grant to narrow its focus to attendance and mentorships for the entire student body. The members of what used to be the task force would welcome being part of the process to write a new grant that reflects the real issues Lake Worth Beach Public Schools are facing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jill Carlin, followed by Kim Stokes.
Hi, everybody. Jill Carlin, 2381 Sunset Avenue. So I want to speak about a simple principle. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Beach Club ain't broke. It's great, fabulous place. You don't need to fix it. Our city faces challenges, rising costs, infrastructure needs, public safety concerns, and the need to support local businesses. That's why I question whether Lake Worth Beach should be offering a city manager a salary approaching $350,000 a year. Before committing taxpayers at that level of expense, let's focus on finding qualified candidates and consider a compensation package closer to $200,000. Do you know the mayor of New York does not make $350,000? He doesn't even make $250,000. The remaining funds could be invested in something that directly benefits our community and economy, like a full-time events, community activation manager, grants writer, all of those kinds of jobs could all go into one person. Many of us remember when Cultural Plaza was alive with Friday night activities. Those events brought residents downtown, supported local businesses, and created a sense of community. Imagine that. We should be expanding those kind of opportunities, not eliminating them. We should also explore relocating or expanding the farmers market into other parts of the city like L&M Street, helping to revitalize local businesses and bringing positive energy to neighborhoods that deserve additional attention and investment. Not the garage, by the way. Economic development, here we go. Economic development is not just about constructing new business. It's about creating places where people want to gather, shop, dine, and spend time. Vibrant activities create vibrant businesses. I have considerable concerns about the construction of a parking garage in our downtown. Lake Worth Beach is special because of its charm, walkability, character, and human scale. As we consider future parking problems and solutions, I encourage us to prioritize approaches that preserve the qualities that make people love this city, including the Beach Club. Protecting that character should remain a central part of our conversation. Likewise, I continue to have questions about the decision to bring WMODA to our city. Good leadership includes the willingness to reassess decisions when circumstances change. There is value in asking, is this still the right fit for Lake Worth Beach? Reevaluating a decision is not a weakness, it's wisdom. Finally, I support in extending Mitch's lease at the Beach Club. If the city's going to hold one business operator fiscally accountable, the same standard should apply consistently to everyone. Fairness and transparency should guide every decision we make. Let's focus on what makes Lake Worth Beach unique. Let's invest in community, events, local businesses, quality of life. Let's preserve the character that residents cherish. And let's remember that sometimes the smartest thing government can do is recognize what is already working and thoughtfully build upon that success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kim Stokes, followed by Jason Becker. Oh, okay. Did Jason Becker go? No, here he is.
Hello, I'm Jason Baker, live at 309 4th Avenue North, Lake Worth. I'm a Lake Worth resident, Lake Worth business owner, and Lake Worth property owner. I take the motto of live where you work to heart. My journey started here in 2015 when I discovered Lake Worth as a seasonal rental, and I decided to start a new chapter in my life here. Back then, I feel the same way as I do now, that there's three key aspects of the city that make it unique: the feeling of community, family, and affordability that make this place what it is. The beach club and the golf course for myself and many others embody all of these things. I understand that progress is a journey and that all things eventually will change. But at a time when everyone around me is witnessing how things that once seemed as a fundamental part of life that we all took for granted slip away and become only accessible to the privileged few. The beach club and the golf course embodies this feeling and community that make this city wonderful. Local residents can come and enjoy a round of golf, a burger, a beer, and an environment that is becoming a place for the everyday person. If you go to another city around you, you will not sit next to other people that were born and raised in the same community where you're at, which makes Lake Worth unique. The feeling of community is why so many people come here to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, events, and holidays. If anyone has come to a Friday night family night, you will see how this is just such a unique community space that everyone is welcome. And I've been to many other cities and it's special like that. Local groups regularly choose the beach club as a place to celebrate and gather. The local parrot heads come to the beach club to celebrate the life, music, and what Jimmy Buffett represents, which is a vision for the everyday person to have a place to have fun, a drink, and feel like you belong. Unfortunately, in today's environment in South Florida, most cities are starting to not feel like a place for the local people that built them, but for people from outside who want to take and profit from what those people in those communities have built. Family is an important part of the community, and that's what the beach club represents. The beach club has many multi-generational employees. That doesn't happen anywhere anymore. They have grown up there working, seeing their family and friends celebrate birthdays and life milestones here. For me and many others that come to the city because it represents the local residents and patrons of the beach club have become family. Celebrating an Easter like holiday at the beach club, whereas the annual brunch for people who don't have immediate family here. The beach club makes you feel like you're part of one. It makes you feel like you can come, eat, drink, watch the games, relax all day, and feel like a sense of family that is so rare to feel in other communities anymore. Finally, affordability. The golf course and the beach club represent an affordable place where everyone can come and enjoy a round of golf and grab a bite to eat and drink in a beautiful space. We need to preserve places like this so local people have a place to enjoy such things. If an outside groups come, they will not want to preserve any of this. They'll only want to upscale everything and take this unique community gathering place away from us. That's why I asked the city to work with Mitch and the Beach Club to align your visions together with his tenure there, and for a place that many others have seen Mitch and the whole Beach Club family build something that is a bedrock of our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Skip. Roselle? Is that my right? All right, thanks. Followed by Ivan.
Shit.
Oh, well, hi.
She had to throw that in there.
In our midst.
I'm Clarence Mazzell. Everyone knows me as Skip. I'm a Lake Worth resident since 1956. I've been a property owner since 1972. I'm here because of a problem with our trash, the vegetation specifically. My next door neighbor across from the alley that we both share and take care of, the other day called me. He was downtown Lake Worth at the utilities company. And he said that he had been fined because of a large amount of vegetation that was put out on the wrong day in our alley. I've been putting trash out in this particular location since 1991. I've never had a problem with that before. I think I was fined once $50 because I put it out on the wrong day. Okay, his fee, what his charge was $405. And he was never asked if he put out the vegetation even. No one came to my house, which is next door across the alley. No one asked me if I had put out the trash. Anyway, I put out the trash. I'm the one who did it. I went down to the city and I told them that. And they looked back at his record and because I admitted that I'm the guilty one, that I would be paying the fine. But because I haven't had a fine in the last 3 years, I would only have to pay $200. And so I know I'm going to have to pay that $200, but it seems that that's an arbitrary kind of punishment for something that was a mistake. I tried to figure out how long, it takes 5 minutes for these guys. And by the way, I think the guys that are picking up the vegetation are excellent. They do a great job. They're very clean, I think, at least in our neighborhood. But they can do this, they can pick up almost anything in 5 minutes. And so if you multiply that, by $400 on an 8-hour day, I mean, that's thousands of dollars, that would be coming in. I don't know how the price of this fine came about, but I understand the commission voted on it to do something about this fine. I don't know what that was, but I hope something could be amended, possibly so that people get a warning. It used to be that you would get a ticket on your door, a little reminder about the situation, and that you could fix it. If you didn't fix it by a certain time, you'd get the fine.
Thank you, that's time.
Okay, well.
Thank you very much.
Last thing, I'm with the Beach Club people too.
Ivan? No. Okay. Wade Hitchcock, I believe he left. Mr. Hitchcock, are you in the hallway? Okay. Keith Randolph. He left. Cynthia Wallish wants me to read this. 123 South Gulfview Road. The Beach Club represents our community. It's a place where the locals can gather with friends and family that caters to all of us, from family dinners, games with friendly kids night, and more. Jenna Bergen of 1706 North Lakeside writes, the Beach Club has become such a staple in the community. Mitch Reel has single-handedly made the Beach Club a home not only to locals, but employees. Una Frappier, 525. Una? Oh, okay. I'll read your. Am I saying Frappier? Okay, thank you. It's of 532 23rd Avenue North. It's a place of, Beach Club is a place of community. It adds to the charm that encourages me to buy my home and other properties. Thank you. I think that's it. Okay, Kim spoke about the parking garage. Okay, great. All right. That concludes this part of the program. Except for Madam Clerk, do you have any to read? As we get,
Read public participation,
Right,
Madam
okay,
Mayor.
right,
thank you. The next
Motion
one.
to approve the minutes for May 22nd, 26th, May 26th regular and special, and May 29th for agenda.
Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Consent agenda. Let's wait till it calms down a little bit. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
It's like a wedding.
It is like a wedding, the one side left and the other side left.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Motion by Ms. May, second by Mr. Segrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unfinished business. A, lease term renewal for contract with Will Scott for temporary flex trailers at 1900 Second Avenue North. Is there a presentation?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. William Waters, Chief Sustainability Director. There's not a formal presentation, but this is a request to extend the quad modules that we're using at 1900 for the Planning and Preservation Division. They were initially going to be able to move back in the building a little bit earlier than we anticipated, and that's now not going to happen. So we're requesting that we extend the term for that quad so that the Planning and Preservation staff can stay there until their area on the south end of the building is ready, which should be by September.
That's my question. Is it long? Is this long enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I have any input? Ms. Malega.
I just want to clarify on the staff report, the last sentence, work on 1900 project is scheduled to now be completed by mid-February 26th. That's supposed to be March of 27.
Yes, and that was switched out earlier today and republished.
Okay. So that's the only change
Yes.
with that motion to approve.
By Malega, second by, oh, Mr. Segrich has a comment.
I'll second.
And your comment?
Just a general question. When looking at this, was this a separate agreement or wrapped up into the total construction cost?
It's a separate agreement.
So when we voted out, we voted twice, once for these temporary and then
Well, you
once
voted
for the
one
total.
for a contract for Will Scott and its own budget. And then you did another vote for the contract with Cooper Management to do the construction project itself.
Okay. All right. And I'm assuming since these are temporary structures, if there arises the need for extension, it would be similar.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. May?
How could the city manager, I know that the city manager can approve up to $50,000, so the 46,925 amendment I guess it's how it's allowed, but how come this wouldn't be then?
It's because we're almost at the cap of $50,000 being added to the contract. So we need a formal extension from you to go beyond that 50,000. Yes.
Okay, so you didn't know that it was going to be longer than this previously?
We weren't supposed to have any time at all with them, because as the project was originally designed and intended was that planning and preservation could stay in their spaces. When the interior demolition got started, we uncovered a number of surprises and we needed planning and preservation to move out. So we moved really quickly with the city manager's support to bring in those four flex modular system so that planning and preservation staff would have somewhere to be until their space could be reoccupied by them.
Okay, so at that point, did you know that you were going to have to extend it? That was the question.
Well, no, we thought that we would be back in by July. And since that was originally approved around November, we've run into a variety of issues related to the schedule. There is an agenda item we're trying to put together. I do not know when it's going to get to you. It's probably going to be July 7th. But we'll go into some of the particulars of why the project is moving along a little slower than we expected.
Okay. Mr. Segrich?
I just want to make one general comment. I did have to go down to the temporary structures for personal business and so on. And I'd have to say, I just wanted to give compliments to staff. Them working in a temporary environment. They made everyone feel at home when they walked in. They even had like a little ticket machine. You waited there. And we were still able to conduct business. So thank you very much to staff for working, outside their normal working environment and still taking care of the business of the city.
Thank you. I'll pass that along. They would really appreciate that because they are working under some challenging circumstances.
And they are quite the good crew to begin with. Under bad circumstances, they shine better.
Yes,
Ms. May?
thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving right along, new business and. You do. New business. So, do you have a presentation for us or what? Well, first read,
I'm trying to
By
find it.
title.
It was, this is ordinance 2026-08, an ordinance of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending chapter 14, business tax receipts and business regulations. Article 1, local business tax receipt, BTR, section 14-15, in compliance with other laws and ordinances prerequisite to issuance of a receipt. Section 14-18, exemptions, and Article 2, use and occupancy certificate and the general regulation of businesses, professions, or occupations. Section 14-32, City of Lake Worth business license and requirement for utility service. Section 14-33, definitions. Section 14-34, use and occupancy certificate required, exemption. Section 14-35, use and occupancy certificates and inspections required and enforcement. Section 14-36, application for use and occupancy certificate for new businesses, inspection and fees, and providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and effective.
Thank you so much. Well done.
Motion for the purpose of discussion.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Segridge, second by Malega. Mr. Segridge. Yep.
I have some particular questions. I'll try to. Yep. So I am on page 8 of the ordinance, exhibit D. And as I read this, this would mean that we are no longer as a city going to conduct internal use and occupancy inspections.
That is correct, unless requested by the property owner or the tenant.
So this is even with commercial businesses?
Yes.
And are you confident that that's going to give us enough information to determine that whether or not I'm talking more about commercial businesses coming in than rentals, residential rentals, that they're indeed operating as the use that they're claiming that they're operating as?
Well, therein lies the issue that was brought up by our meeting that we had with you back in early May, was that you requested us to be more business friendly. And the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue already does commercial inspections. And one of the things we get the most complaints about is that it'll pass a fire inspection, but it'll fail in use and occupancy, or vice versa. So since the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue is already doing inspections, we were going to utilize their reports to document our background or our records and use that instead of our going in and doing our own interior inspections, unless the tenant or the property owner asks us to do it for both residential as well as commercial properties.
And are you still going to be conducting external inspections?
Yes. We will be doing an external inspection of every single property that has a business license every single year.
Okay.
From the right of way. Like
From the right of way.
Like a standard code enforcement inspection.
And so what exactly are you inspecting at that point?
Well, it would be like if you were riding around and you notice trash and debris, the building's not being maintained, there's some signage issues, there's evidence of possibly that by the vehicles that are parked outside or the activities you can see from the right of way, that the business may be conducting itself beyond what its approved business license would be. The typical use and occupancy, code compliance inspections that we do, but we do them on a very regular basis. And the concept would be to send an informal courtesy notice if we find something wrong to the property owner and the business and say, you've got these issues, please address them. If you don't address them by a certain date, we will then have to follow it up with a formal notice of violation.
So is this something that the business owner is going to have to schedule yearly, or is this
No.
an unscheduled?
It's unscheduled.
And so there's no fee for this?
Well, there will be a fee for the inspection because we're having adding the extra step of the informal notice if there are things that are not in compliance.
So how is this any different than just a regular code looking at the building?
because we will be scheduling internally, visiting every property at least once a year. Whereas right now, and I think Ms. May has experienced this in writing with our code staff, they're riding down the street and they may not get to everything in that particular location, but we will have a documented record for every business license property in the city at least once a year this way.
Okay, and then
now commensurately, the inspection fees are going to come down. So as part of this, we're going to be bringing a change to this schedule of fees and charges. We're going to have to adjust down because we have a lot of fees that can cover, as an example, a hotel. There's a charge for every single room. We're not going to see those anymore. So you're going to see a commensurate reduction in the use and occupancy inspection charges.
okay, and then on Exhibit E, the new paragraph that got added.
Yes.
I didn't compare it word by word, but it seems to be the exact same language that's on the BTR exhibit. Shouldn't this be about the use and occupancy as an exception versus the BTR?
You're talking about
item C.
Item C. Well, it's sort of. We have run into several instances as of late where there may be a family member that owns a commercial property, and there is a business being conducted in that property by a relative or a close friend or something. That close friend or relative may have a business license for conducting the business in question, but there may be no rent being exchanged between the tenant and the owner. We have a similar thing in item B, dwelling not occupied by the owner. And we've had, so our records, when it's a commercial property, you either have to have a business license as a commercial lessor, or you have a vacant registry, or it's under some other, what is the other option? It's the third one.
William, I think the question is that Exhibit E has the same language for the business tax receipt, that this language, instead of referencing the business tax receipt, should reference the use and occupancy certificate.
Yes,
We can double check that.
because this is the use and occupancy certificate exemption. So the exemption should be about use and occupancy, not business tax receipt. Yes.
Okay, we can look at that. We were trying to, we right now have a program where you have an affidavit of non-rental for residential properties. We were trying to extend that to include it for commercial
I think it was
properties.
just a cut and paste error.
Yeah, and that seems to be in Exhibit B.
Just change the wording.
It's Exhibit B, item C allocates for that for the BTR, but Exhibit E is about use and occupancy certificates.
You're correct.
Okay. And so then,
So I don't think we need Exhibit E.
I think we still need it. We'll just delete it again.
Okay.
Yeah. So then just as a matter of discussion for my colleagues, I do think certain kinds of businesses need inspection. Residential rentals, I understand there are challenges because of what we have in our use and occupancy checklist is not all about life safety. But we had talked about changing that checklist so that it would be about life safety and that we could get access to there. I understand if a tenant refuses to give access, we can't force them, but we can have our business license dependent on that access. So I don't, when we had discussed this last time, we had talked about having one initial use and occupancy and then doing away with the 3-year one that had to be scheduled. I still think the upfront use and occupancy can be business friendly if we don't nitpick through, there's a smudge on the paint on the outside of the building, that kind of things. But focus it on basically, the life, health, safety portions of it, as well as verifying that the business going in there is the business that they say is going in there, right? I am for, not having to have the business owners randomly schedule it every 3 years. I'm not sure how I feel about forcing our business owners to basically pay for a yearly code inspection. We should be handling code issues. You know, it'd be like telling homeowners that you have to pay once a year for the code man to come around and check you out. To me, that doesn't make sense. But so those were kind of my thoughts and concerns on that, and just interested to hear from the public and my
Sure,
colleagues.
thank you. There is, my understanding, a prohibition against us doing internal inspections in residential.
So there is a preemption for residential rentals. You can do inspections for fire, building code, and life safety code. We do not have a life safety code. If a owner or occupant does not allow you inside the property to do the inspection, you have to approve the BCR or the business license anyway. Unless you have or you can, if you know or have reasonable suspicion that there is a life health safety issue inside that you need to inspect, then you can go in and seek an administrative warrant.
Right.
To go inside the property. Otherwise, but you cannot hold the business license up if they refuse to allow you in the property.
Right. And the same goes for commercial.
I have not done specific research on commercial. Most of the research has
because I have the same concerns about the interiors. I don't think you share those concerns.
I haven't seen any
Sprinklers.
differentiation necessarily between residential and commercial. It's if a property owner says you can't come in my property, you know, there is some merit to that, but the protections for residential are stronger because they're not generally open to the public.
Right. So when they first get their business license, we can do an interior inspection. I know we've talked about the fire department doing that. And really the things I'm concerned about are the health, safety, sprinklers and exits.
Well, that is exactly what the fire department's supposed to be inspecting for. And they're supposed to be, I believe, as I understand it, inspecting the commercial properties every year.
It's like,
Thank you. So I don't feel comfortable in this conversation of giving people their business license without knowing what business they're really conducting. And, you know, great state of Florida and all of their taking of home rule and basically taking all the control away from the city of Lake Worth Beach. So if I say that I'm going to open a bakery and I just didn't tell you I was baking pot cookies, we don't know. Or if I say that I'm opening a bar, but we really don't know that it's a strip club, we don't know. So there's my frustration. And I've explained this many times. I am in favor if we can, on a commercial property, compile it what we would think is a life safety issue, life safety list, running water, electricity, blah, 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 blah. A new business coming in here and hearing carte blanche that you can just get your LBTR and there's no inspection. When I built my business in 2010, I had to put a utility closet, a utility sink and a utility closet for a gym.
And that was probably required by the building code, not the use and occupancy inspection.
But still, to get my license, I had to get that utility sink. So I understand frustration on the business owner side. But I also think that we have to protect the city of Lake Worth Beach. And we have a lot of crappy makeshift businesses that aren't upstanding like the Beach Club or Benny's and employing real people. They're doing things unscrupulous. So a couple things that I'm a little frustrated with. And I did reach out to Director Waters in regards to my questions.
Could we address the question that you brought up initially? Technically and legally, business should not be conducted until you have your business license issued.
Technically.
So, and as it is now, the inspections take place before the business license is issued to confirm, yes, the building is in such and such a shape. So if we don't always see what business you will be conducting as part of the inspection to actually issue the business license, what's covered by that is a zoning confirmation. Is the business as being described allowed under the zoning code? And that's the zoning confirmation as part of the business license application process.
So, I mean, it is a checks and balance to some degree, but not to the degree that I personally would like to see on the property that are residents that are being rented, I understand that, but if it's a business if we're letting people go in and the public go in, I think it's our job to protect the public. That's all I have on that. And I do think that we should have in here somewhere that we will be relying on the fire inspection report to update the LBTR status. So if something slips between the cracks, that we get a fire report and this business B was in violation of A, B, and C, we need to know that, and we need to be able to have it in black and white that we're going to use that to make sure that things are safe for our residents and our businesses in town. And there's nothing in here that says we're going to rely on the fire report.
And I was going to talk to the city attorney about that. When a business fails their fire inspection, and it's gotten much better in the past few years, fire does bring forward co-compliance cases, and they are heard as separate, like little items before the special magistrate if they're not resolved. And the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue has gotten much more proactive and quote unquote aggressive in terms of ensuring the fire code and life safety code that they follow is being abided by the tenants and property owners in the city.
So if they pass a fire inspection or if they fail a fire inspection, how long do they get to come in compliance? Or does it turn into a code violation immediately, or do they get a warning?
It depends on what the severity of the issue might be. If it's a severe life safety issue, there was one that we involved fire extinguishers were missing. They were given almost no time to cure that. You can go out and get your fire extinguishers. And if they were not put in place by the following inspection, a formal notice of violation would come out.
From us,
From
the fire department.
Well, it would be we would process it from their evidence, but it comes from us. All of them do.
Okay.
And we carry them before our special magistrate.
Okay, so it does come before our code. So then it does come code work.
Yes.
My next question is part of the conversation that we just had previously with the tenant lease is that I don't like the fact that we have a not policy, but just with code that we don't violate people who are our tenants that violate codes. There's no paper trail. So if you're a tenant for the city of Lake Worth Beach, you can break codes and you don't get fined because we can't supposedly write a fine on our own building. That does not make sense to me. That is a policy that I will advocate for and hopefully get support. We should be able to code violate our tenants just like everybody else. To me, that's almost favoritism by saying, no, we'll just give you a warning and we'll keep it off the books, or we're going to send the building department by. Yes, ma'am.
The attorney would like to speak. Code violations are written against the property owner, not against tenants.
So what do we have as, and I mean, people are laughing, but there are literally certain things that have happened with a current person who we're negotiating with where, well, there's never been proof. I've never heard that talked about in front of the dais. And to me, that doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, a code violation wouldn't necessarily be talked about on the dais either, but staff has worked with that tenant over at least 2 years regarding issues that have needed to be resolved. And we have talked between our office and the city manager's office about putting policies in place for how to work with tenants through issues with.
Well, couldn't we cite them? Couldn't it be a citation? If it's not a code violation?
It could be a citation. We don't utilize the citation process.
Which we should. Which I think we had the whole conversation about creating citations so PBSO could be enforcing them.
PBSO does enforce citations, and we're working with them to put them into their electronic tracking system so that they're easier for them to.
I mean, that's why we have no smoking bans and no drone bans and all this other stuff. To me, I think that should be a citation. If you do something on city-owned property and you don't pull permits and you don't do the right thing, our tenants shouldn't be treated with more grace than anybody else in town.
Well,
I see Commissioner Segridge is lifting his finger up.
And one of the reasons that code enforcement is against the property owner is because the result of a code enforcement action is a lien on the property.
Right.
And one of the pushes with that is that the property owner, as the landlord, would be enforcing their lease provisions against their tenants. So it's really that the city is not great at enforcing its lease provisions, and that's something we need to work on. And that's the discussion that we're having with the city.
Okay, I would like this discussion not to get tabled and not to get kicked down the road. We're in the middle of doing some major leasing contracts right now. And I think that we do need to come forward with some kind of citation policy. Because this shouldn't be, if, you know, as the landlords, we shouldn't be knocking on the door, making sure that people aren't doing things that they're not supposed to be doing without pulling permits, or there's not violations. And this goes across every tenant that we have. This again is public owned property that we need to be better stewards of and better landlords of, and hold our leases accountable. Just, I mean, that's, to me, that's the only thing that makes sense.
And ourselves, because
Right,
we
no,
are.
100%.
So I have a question. If you- I have a question for the attorney.
And I had,
Go
hang on,
ahead.
let me just tell you
Go ahead.
the two other changes, the very last page. Exhibit G, page 11. Number 2, address, the application shall list the current local and legal, blah, 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 blah. I would like to see phone number and email
I have
on there as
exactly the
well.
same notes.
And under
And
number
time.
5, yeah, number
Yeah.
2. And then on number 5, subcategory 4, instead of a copy of any license registration, I think it should be a copy of all licenses, registrations, and certifications required for the profession.
And we spoke that, and I
Yeah,
thought
no,
that was
I
fine.
just want to make sure that my
What you just mentioned before, where, is on, you said it's on page 11 in what paragraph?
number
5,
2,
Sub 2.
no, he's talking about address. Number 2 on page 11 under G. C2, it says address,
Okay,
the
well, I
applicant
guess my
needs to
page
list
11 is not the same as yours.
under G.
I got it.
You got it? Okay,
Section
thanks.
1436.
Thank you. Those are my other changes. I did speak with Director Waters in regards to the all, but I just wanted,
Okay, I have a question for number C2, where it says addresses. What are you?
it says the applicant shall list. I think that we should add phone number and email
Oh, okay.
address.
And, okay, thank you.
And then the 5 sub 4,
Two.
I will
instead
check,
of a copy of all licenses instead of any.
because the whole chapter is not here. I'll check and make sure that the email and phone number is not mentioned somewhere else, because we maybe just had certain components of it. And if it's not, we'll add it there. You may not see it here, or you may, depending on what we find out in the next day or so. The other
And
thing
I know
that,
that we spoke about the all. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure the rest of the commission.
and
was,
then based on your discussion earlier, I can get with Elizabeth and look at what may or may not need to be done to chapter 2, which is where co-compliance falls. This is chapter 14, and see if there's anything that needs to be beefed up there in terms of civil citations or such to address some of the concerns you raised in furtherance of the co-compliance process against ourselves or our own tenants.
Thank you.
That's also where the list of what's included in the use and occupancy inspection is in chapter 2. So that wouldn't be part of this regardless. That will have to come separate.
Okay, I just have a couple comments. I've been pushing for more use of citations for a very long time. I find them workable and efficient, and I'll go down. Well, they get it. No, they have to go to court. I mean, I used to go to Delray once a month. Okay, I have on 5.2, where it says the premises are leased, the name, phone number, email address of the individual authority. Page, yeah, 5, just sub 2. You talked about 1 thing. I would like to have, we have talked about this, and I don't know what the answer is yet about, if a neighbor had, where that information about, I think it should be a 24-hour, we talked about this, a 24-hour.
It's in a different section of the chapter,
Okay, but it's not reflected here, and I think.
but we don't have all of chapter 14 here for you to see. It's just the areas that are changing.
Okay, yeah, I just, so it's 24 hours, and I mean, how do people, if someone is a terrible neighbor
Mhm.
and they want to call the representative of that place, how do they get that information?
We've talked about, and we have not completed this, a way to have it listed as part of the website and trying to get it there, but we haven't been able to get that. You've got us working on so many priorities. I can't tackle them all at once.
Okay, so it's a software sort of thing of getting it programmed in.
Well,
That may be oversimplifying it.
you're not oversimplifying it. It's something we definitely want to include in a new ERP system. Getting that information out of the field where it is under the current click to gov, asking a question about a property is a little bit of a challenge. What I had hoped to have eventually is under the GIS system, when you click on a property under a map, that the various information fields that we have would be able to populate. That is going to take quite a bit of effort. It's not impossible, but we are not quite there yet.
Okay, if I want to find out, can I call your department and say, who's the representative for the neighbor next door? And
As
they-
long as we have it, and I cannot guarantee that everybody has abided by that requirement. We do require and request that information as part of the renewal process. And missing information is one of our largest number of issues when it comes to code compliance. Lack of information or specificity or updating your business license as appropriate. Business license issues is probably the number one code compliance issue in the city.
And that's including rental licenses for residential, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so are we, if I bought a property and I wanted to rent it out, could I get a business license without giving you that information?
No, it's required as part of the new application, but keep in mind that we have some business licenses that have been in existence for 30 years. And getting them to update records is sometimes a bit
But when
challenging.
the renewal goes out, can't you say add this or we won't renew your license?
And that's what ends up eventually becoming a code case. Because people don't always read, they just send us a check or whatever, and then we have to call them back and say, hey, we're missing some information, please provide it. Yeah.
I have one more question. When we talk about, us being the landlords, is it policy or is it prohibition about us citing ourselves? I mean, you say the proper, we'd be citing ourselves, but maybe we need to do that. Is there any prohibition against it, or has it just been a policy? I mean, a lot of us have said we should keep our own stuff up.
You can certainly cite yourself. It ends up being or not because you can't lien government property. So there's kind of a double no purpose to it.
The same thing with homestead, really.
Well, also the notice of violation goes to the property owner. So if it's an issue with the tenant and we notify ourselves that we have a problem with our tenant, we should already know we have a problem with our tenant.
But apparently we don't all the time.
Well, I won't even go there.
Okay, so I'm just saying, I'm just thinking maybe it pull our leash in a little bit as far as the quality of.
I think there are more efficient and effective ways to handle it. We just need to work.
We need to do them things. Okay, Ms. May.
Thank you. I just have a question on page 7. And I know we discussed this, and I know we discussed the fact that you can't have your, we said we don't want to have to wait to get the BTR to get the, utilities, right? But oh no, that wasn't it. It was the one where the landlord had to do all of the code things before we gave them the BTR and it turned on the utilities, right?
Well, there's two different questions you're bringing up.
Okay.
One is that we've established, I don't remember how many years ago, no business license, no lights.
Right.
Effectively, you can't get utilities. The other thing that was brought up, and we appreciated this, was that we now prevent tenants from getting their business license if the property owner has existing code violations or a problem.
Right.
And you all requested us from consensus that we should allow a tenant to go ahead and get the business license, and the case against the property owner should resolve the other issues that are outstanding. So there's two different things. But in this, we have proposed to remove the requirement that you have a business license in place before your utilities can be turned on.
Okay, so what teeth then do we still have with the property owner?
Well, if things don't go well, we cite the property owner, say like what Ms. Malega was mentioning, businesses conducting themselves outside their approved business license. The business itself and the people that own it could be given civil citations. It goes to the standard code compliance process. It is not necessarily a life safety issue in most cases. So most of it, as per the direction that we're following right now, is a courtesy notice. That might be changing once we finalize what all we're doing in terms of business friendly activities. But that's how it works right now.
Okay. Okay, so can we just go back to the city one? Do we have it in the lease that the tenant must be compliant with all code?
I'd have to look at all the leases, but my guess is yes. That's
So
the state.
why wouldn't it be a violation of the lease?
It is.
So why wouldn't we go for them that way?
That's what I'm suggesting.
Oh, well, then great minds.
Then we make, 1,000 people upset because.
Well, I think this is a situation where we would have asked them. We would have said, this is the problem. You need to come in compliance. I'm talking about ones that know they are doing it wrong and they don't come into compliance. Like they've been asked 47 times to do something and they're not doing it. Then it becomes a violation of the lease. I'm not saying you forgot to take in your garbage cans and we're going to violate your lease. I'm talking about ones where it's basically like kind of a screw you to the city. I'm not doing it because you can't do anything. You know, who, and I'm not saying that it's like that because we have lots of tenants in the city, you know, and I'm sure that there's some situations with all of them. But so I think there needs to be a way to do that, that doesn't, you know, I don't want to kick people out, but I want people to be able to, we need to have some teeth in this in order to say, you can't just do whatever you want in city property without permits. And it'll be okay because you're in a city building and we can't cite you, because then it's a free for all.
So in a code enforcement process, you would give the property owner or under citation, even the tenant, a notice, give them an opportunity to cure. The same thing works under a lease.
Okay.
And there have been instances in the past, since I've been here forever, where we have sent letters to tenants saying, per your lease, you're in violation of X, Y, and Z. Please address at your earliest convenience. It usually comes from the city attorney. I'm not aware of one of those coming out recently, but they have been issued in the 16 years that I've been here.
Okay. And in your experience, has that, has the entity complied?
We lost, I think, 2 tenants, which may not be the worst thing in the world, or they have come into compliance or worked out a process or a time frame in which to become compliant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Segrich.
Thank you. So on that topic, Florida law allows us to cite the business. They allow us to cite the tenant for code compliance. We can't lien the business, we can lien the property owner, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be issuing a code compliance citation to the business. We structure everything around this concept that the lien is the only way we can get compliance with code, and it's not. A lot of our major landlords, right? You've got 15, 20, 30, 100 buildings in the city, and you've got some great tenants and you've got some really troublesome tenants. What ends up happening is that landlord now becomes a repeat offender because they're the only one that gets cited. That business never gets cited. And it could just be because they had one bad tenant. And now they're on that repeat offender list. Now, all of a sudden, they start incurring fines from the day that they've got the citation. So it's a simple solution. We can cite the businesses. And I'm talking about commercial, commercial leases, not necessarily residential leases. They might need different treatment, but the business has the business license. We have the contact for that individual. We can issue the code citation against that business. Yes, we don't have the lien, but do that for the first 30 days. And then after it, escalate it and also cite the landlord at that point. Then it becomes their problem and it's their fault. You notice them both on the initial 30 days. You give that landlord time to work it out with the client or tenant, so to speak. And, that's going to really create an environment where, a lot of these business owners, they don't actually find out. Let's say their landlord is in Europe and they don't get their mail. And now all of a sudden, I had this happen. There was a new business that came in. They got cited. They didn't even know until it was time to go to the magistrate. Their landlord's pissed at them. And they're like, well,
did they get a letter?
The landlord did, but the landlord didn't notify the tenant. So you have a tenant who wanted to be compliant, but the landlord, for whatever reason, miscommunicated. I firmly believe if you're the one causing the issue, you should be the first point of contact. So, Florida statute allows us to do it. I know we can't lien them, but it's great. You're not in compliance, then it's going to come to your landlord, then the landlord's going to get the lien. And then there can't be any complaint as to the process being unfair to that particular landlord. The communication happens. We notice both parties on it. And yes, I know it's going to extend out the pre-magistrate timeline. So be it.
Sorry. The question and what you're following is not the civil citation where it's issued to the person or the business at the location that it's a separate, like a notice of violation that we already do, but it would just be to the business.
You can issue a code violation to a business.
Okay.
And if they don't comply, you can issue a civil violation.
So I'll get with Elizabeth and Yolanda Bryant, and we'll look at how that works within our current management system and have an answer for you at the second reading, if you approve it on first reading today.
It's a separate,
Yes.
it's a separate chapter anyway, so
Right.
it's just.
Which is a side note.
We're gonna.
Right, but I just wanted to make sure that we have a defensible process in order to track those things against the business, because everything in our ERP now is property driven, PCN driven. And so I want to make sure we have a place to put it. And we'll cross our fingers and hope. And then when we get to the new ERP, we can hopefully set up another component for the co-compliance process where this could all rest and it'd be easier to track.
And then, but before I do want to go to public comment, but I had one last question on the very last page, item F. We're essentially doing away with proration.
This is for the certificate, the registration, not the BTR itself. There's two different things.
Okay. So I would like to hear from the public, and then after that, I do think we, as a body, need to discuss what exactly, if we are going to do use and occupancy, what are we going to inspect? Because I don't, I hear William loud and clear, and I've said it myself many times. We don't want to be duplicating the work of the fire department, duplicating the work of the DBPR. However, there are certain things when a business is starting up that I think as a city we do need to check on. I don't think we need to, do it every 3 years and so on. So I guess let's hear from the public, and then if we could discuss that a little bit after. I would appreciate it.
Elizabeth also said that list is the inspection list is someplace else, and we don't have that in front of us.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared for that either.
No.
Right, but we're in this saying that we're doing away with it. I'm not prepared to do away with it. So
Well, I would still be expecting all those things in that list as this is proposed. You would be inspecting whatever list is in existence. You would just be inspecting it from the right of way annually.
As a point of clarification, when this use and occupancy inspection was originally conceived, it was every year for every property, both residential, commercial, and because it was incumbent upon the property owner to schedule, and we had some staffing challenges, it was reduced eventually down to every 3 years for residential, every year for commercial, and then it went to every 3 years for both. This way we can manage it, I think, much more expeditiously and efficiently by taking it on our own. And it's amazing what you can see from the right of way if you're riding around, because I think Commissioner Macon and Commissioner Malega can attest to that. And I would implore, because we are running up against the time to do the renewals for the use business licenses very soon. I'd like us to spend a little more time, but not affect this current renewal, and look at other options for inspections that we might implement before we do the renewals for FY28.
Okay, I have a comment. I like citations, and I think if we cite the tenants because they're immediate and there's a fine. No, that's okay. Plenty of other things. Because it doesn't delay the process. It's immediately, you've got 30. Here's your citation. And then the policy convening, again, I'm just harking back to when I used to do it. If they complied with the problem by the time the case, once a month, they would have municipal ordinance violations down in Delray. And if they complied, we would just drop the citation. It was a very quick, very easy way to do it. And it would not lengthen the process to the landlord. It was very direct. And it got people's attention pretty well. So I'd like to look at that as well as a option. So we do have some public comment. John Zerdy, followed by Chris Fleming, followed by Jason Becker. No. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments at your end?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We're going to take a comment. Mr. Zerdy.
Good evening, Mayor.
Former Commissioner.
John Zerdy, 217 South Palm Way. Do we know how many business licenses do we really have?
In questions here, we make comments.
We do? Yeah.
Well, you can always call staff and get the answer.
Okay. Well,
come on.
No. Well, there are many thousands of business licenses in the city. To get it done every year, I agree with, from the public right away, would expedite that. I think that's a good move. But any new business that comes in for a use has to fill out the application. It's not hard for them to even scratch a little bit on a piece of paper or ask somebody to help them draw. Here's where I'm going to be. Here's how I'm using it. Write it down, make it part of the record that that's what they're doing. And then you will know what's going on. It should be part of the application. I would suggest that. I would also like to say that we had our own business license come up in one of our buildings, and it went very smooth. I'd like to commend Miss Dale on that one. I also think that Karina also helped us quite a bit on another project down on South H Street. It was tough because a new property owner came in and was told, and I think I have an email that says, no, there's no code violations occurred on the property. He purchased the property, now found out, yes, there is. Can't get a business license. It's kind of tangled up. We're trying to untangle it, but there should be some way that we can ask during a process of purchasing or a new bill that I can come in, I can get a letter that says there's no code violations here existing on record.
We have that.
Well,
All they have to do is ask for the
he had it and somehow there is, and he's trying to work. We're trying to help him work through it. So is staff. Also, like if you're an existing owner and you're got a license coming up, and then you have a violation, do you get your business license revoked? I don't think you do, because the same thing with a new business owner coming in. I can't get my business license because there's some violations existing there. So it seems like it incurs. It's not as business friendly, but I do say that what was happening for us and for some of our experiences in the city now, they are more business friendly. They're really trying. I think there's a group of us that have gotten together recently that we've met with a number of you all. It's helped.
Thank you. That's time.
Okay.
Good to know. Thank you.
Just wanted to know what level of weeds and paint chips and all also.
Thank you, Mr. Zerdy.
All right. Thank you.
Chris Fleming.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Chris Fleming, 231 East Lantana Road. Thank you for taking this on, William and your staff. It's been an ongoing problem and a bit of a mess over the last few years, and just being an unpredictable process for business owners. I think most small businesses, they go through the leasing process. It's hard enough to get a business started. You negotiate a lease, and then the BTR comes up, and there's problems a lot of times with the landlord's property, which the landlord doesn't know. And I think John touched on that. And it sounds like you're headed down the right road to try and fix some of these things. But there was a bit of a domino effect that was happening here, where the landlord doesn't know that he has a violation, or it's just picked up. The tenant goes in to get his license or her license, and all of a sudden everything's shut down. So the domino effect happens, and all of a sudden the landlord's scratching to try and be in compliance. The tenant stopped, and maybe he negotiated a few months free rent, but now we're exceeding that. Which is the unpredictable part of opening a business and dealing with the BTR process. So I'm hearing these comments, it looks like you're streamlining things, making it a little more predictable. But if, the notice part of it, I think, is the biggest thing, where in the past, and it sounds like it's going in the right direction, that property owners, especially commercial property owners, are not aware, or they don't have enough time to fix it up before their property's shut down for leasing to new tenants. So if we can address that or make that a little more streamlined, I think that'll help the business community. So thank you.
Thank you. Jason Becker. Baker?
Yeah. Jason Baker, 309 4th Avenue North. Well, I just want to comment because I've heard talking about being more business friendly, and I guess my whole hiccup must have happened before that started transpiring, because I had a business for many years, and pretty much the building was as was when I bought it, and went through many inspections and everything's fine. And then more or less all of a sudden, like, whole myriad of lists of things just come up out of nowhere, numbers on the building being wrong size and this and that and everything, and like my trailer's not parked in a parking spot on my own fenced in parking area, which it's 20 feet long. It doesn't fit in a parking spot. Like, I don't know why it needs to be in one, because it's on my own pavement, So I would appreciate some of the streamlined stuff because part of the problems I had was you said like my business wasn't operating as I had been approved. So I did research and got my original application. And then turns out that like, they're like, oh, well, everything that you said your business is doing now is actually on your application. And I was like, exactly. So it's not my fault that I was misclassified and then didn't know after 6 some odd years, so I would appreciate it'd be nice to see like some more of the business friendly stuff because when you're just kind of operating a business and everything seems fine, you do your inspections and everything, and then all of a sudden 1 year, just tons of things out of nowhere just come up, little tiny things, dents in drywall, all this kind of stuff. You're just like overwhelmed, and so I appreciate seeing that more of that moving forward with some of that because, especially like when sometimes you're there and you're like, why does this other guy have piles of trash on his property all the time? And nobody ever says anything to me. And like, I have a number that's 5.5 inches instead of 6 inches in front of my building and I get a sticker on it, and it's like, so I appreciate seeing more of that business friendly because, and I agree, safety concerns, violations should be definitely important in there, but little things, especially people who live here and don't necessarily, we try our best to do the best we can with some of the stuff we have, and so just that.
Thank you. That's time.
And thank you very much. Okay, I just have one more comment. We're talking about landlords being out of town and they don't get the notice. If you own a property, I believe it's your obligation to make sure that your mail gets opened and I don't buy the I was out of town or whatever,
Just to remind the public that the address that we have to use for code compliance is the proper record, which is the official record, and it has 2 addresses, usually the address of the property and the mailing address. I will not name names, but I have found out recently, and I've helped work through several of these, management companies are unknowingly the actual recipient of the notices of violation, and the notices of violation have not been passed on to the managers of those businesses or to the property owner. We did work out something, and it appears whoever's opened the mail, like, oh, Lake Worth Beach, and that never got to the manager of that company who's managing the property or to the property manager. The other thing is that we will, as part of the business friendly entity, one of the biggest challenges we have, since so much of the city is non-conforming, when you look at the strict dictates of the code, things appear to be in violation, though they may be in compliance with how it was approved originally. And we are trying our best to get more notes in the system written down versus having to go to the property file, which is now almost by the end of this year, will be all electronic and should be able to be attached to each parcel in the city, which then the public can have access to it as well as staff. And so we will be bringing forward to you, hopefully, probably in the next 6 months or so, some adjustments to the non-conforming use, building, and parcel section of the LDRs. I haven't worked at all. I haven't had time to really totally focus on it, but it is on our list to try to address some of those issues to help make it easier to be in compliance with whatever rules you had when you came into the city versus the rules that are here today.
As far as a case came out last year about non-conforming, that because we say if it's not in 6 months, then sort of the use evaporates. But the case came out last year that said, actually, that's not true. If the property was never used for a separate use, if it was empty for 2 years, but the same non-conforming business wanted to come in, that would be okay. It was an interesting case that came out last year.
And we have utilized the updated case law where it's not just that the property's been vacant. If the property's been vacant in accordance with the code, that you would lose your nonconformity, but the landlord or property owner has been holding the property out for that same use, trying to get a tenant for that same use. They just hadn't been successful in getting a tenant. We do honor that as a continuation of the nonconformity.
Yeah, we've had that case.
Yes.
There's so many cases. Ms. May and Mr. Segrich, I don't know who went first.
No,
I think it was
is
May.
is it a policy that we use the Papa address?
That's required under Florida statute.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if that's the one we have to use.
We
no matter
have
what.
to use it.
Okay.
We could add the address though.
Staff does also post the property in City Hall.
Oh, yeah.
that's-
So the owner is in Europe and they're going to walk
Right.
into City Hall.
And it's also statute. No, by statute, we have to do. that.
Oh,
So the property owner has the opportunity to receive usually the certified mail. We hear a lot of property owners saying, my tenant didn't give it to me,
Right.
well, then change your address so you get it.
right.
But then there was also concern about the tenant not knowing, but the property gets posted, so the tenant should see that posting.
Does mail go to the property too, or just the mailing address?
Just the mailing address and a pop-up.
Would it behoove us to send it to both?
I'll
then-
look into that.
Then you're double
That-
letting people
That,
know.
that may be something we have to tackle with the new ERP, because one of the things that the mayor had mentioned, if somebody has a separate address for notification besides Papa, could we include that in this? We have nowhere to put that right now, and most of the notices are automatically generated. Pardon?
That's not helpful.
Please don't do that to me. When I got here, Post-its were everywhere and it was a nightmare. And Post-its get lost or put in the wrong file quite often. So we are looking at trying to, if someone wants to provide a secondary address in addition to the Papa address, that we would have it on record.
Okay, but do please look into would it be efficient to send it to the tenant too?
Okay.
Thank
Maybe
you.
not registered.
Because some properties have multiple tenants.
Well, send the registered one the legal way and then let the property tenant know, somebody at the actual.
What I'm getting at is we
address.
have numerous properties that have multiple tenants. So as an example, if you were going to send a violation notice to Arbor Square, there are like 17 tenants at Arbor Square who would also get a letter.
Right, but is it all 17 violating?
But you don't know.
Well, no, but okay.
Whatever.
Let's
You-
talk
you get my
offline.
point.
Yeah, let's talk offline.
Mr. Segridge.
Thank you. I actually think the case law that before the more recent one was actually set by Lake Worth Beach on 8th Street. About,
What I'm talking about is.
no, I'm saying the one before that, was set by Lake Worth Beach. I think to Ms. May's point, I don't want to let technology drive our policy decisions and drive how we treat our businesses. I want to set the policy and then let's figure it out from a technology standpoint. So similar to how parking, we've spent years setting policy based on our meters that take quarters and everything else like that. Let's not do that again here. I do think that we need to have at least an initial interior inspection when it's a new business applying to validate that they are in fact doing the business that they're saying they're doing. To Mr. Zerdy's comment, when they submit for their business license for the first time, if they have a narrative or they had a little diagram or they had something to say, you know, this is what I'm doing. I'm setting up a gumball machine shop with 18 gumball machines, and that's what I'm going to do. That gets preserved with the application and gets approved. I've seen applications for businesses that are currently operating downtown, and they are doing nothing near what they said they were doing. So I would like to, I guess I'll make a motion and try to include all of these unless you guys wanted to. My motion was just for discussion.
Motion to approve for discussion, so you. Yeah.
I just made a motion for discussion. I didn't.
You have to.
Yeah, so, no, you can make a motion for discussion. But I will amend my motion to a motion to approve with updating Exhibit E, item C, so that that paragraph references use in occupancy versus BTRs. To modify Exhibit G, item C, number 2, to add.
Slow down. Go back to EC.
Sure.
That was the one that was copy and paste. And
Okay.
didn't change the word.
Got it.
Exhibit G, item C2, adding phone and email as part of the requirement. And I understand, Mr. Waters, you said it might be referenced elsewhere. For the purpose of clarity, put it here
Okay.
as well. Can't hurt. And then in item 5, number 4, change the word any to all. I think then Exhibit D, to change it so that the initial use and occupancy inspection would include verification of business use, which might include internal inspection based on their application. And then, so that would be the motion for this, then after I had a directional item for staff. So that would be my amended
Do I have a
motion.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Um, and I had no problem what you recommended. I will have to get with Elizabeth because Exhibit D, the definition, might need some clarification with what's on page 9, section 1435B. A use and occupancy inspection shall be required of persons or persons in the various requirements that are there. We might need to make a couple of little adjustments to the B section, or maybe even add a number 7, so that it corresponds appropriately with what you've changed in section 1433 on page 7.
Okay.
That'd be okay?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
So then as far as direction goes, I would like to see if my colleagues would be okay with this, to direct staff to basically add to the list of changes that we have for what we're doing in this, so that we can cite the tenant, whether that be a code violation to the tenant or a civil citation. But basically, if it's a commercial property and there's a commercial business operating in there, let's take my gumball factory or machine example, and they had pinball machines in there and they shouldn't have, or they, had bad signage, they would get the initial citation for, let's say, 30 days. Then it would proceed to the landlord, or they both get cited at the same
I would think at
time.
the same time.
But basically giving that landlord time to work it out with their tenant. And I would also say that citation should not count against the landlord unless it has to go all the way through the magistrate.
Well, it would go to the citation would go, it's a separate thing. It would go to court with the tenant, not.
Yeah, no, I just mean in terms of like repeat offender and so forth. So-
How we process code violations, including for lack of having a business license or failure to renew your business license, or any of the business license issues under chapter 14, all go through chapter 2. Chapter 2 includes the list of requirements for your use and occupancy inspection. It includes the regular code process, and it includes the civil citation process, and we can bring each of those forward to you at a different time. But they would not impact what you're doing in this ordinance.
Yeah, no,
Can you bring them all
Yes.
together separate?
We can, if you want to wait, all to come together.
I think the citation is the most immediate. Now,
Well, you're, sorry, I'm trying to
No,
follow.
we-
Are
we-
Commissioner Maliga, were you referring to chapter 14 changes which are being heard tonight?
No, what she just said, what Elizabeth just said about chapter 2.
Oh, that makes the better sense to do it all at once, whatever we're going to do to chapter 2.
That's what I was saying.
Yes.
Can you bring it all together? Because not with this, but can you bring chapter 2 all together so we can dissect that, if you will?
And that likely will include some things that come out of your workshop that we had in May, as well as we're going to follow up in, I think, the 3rd week in July. Is that what it is? Yeah.
now if I'm wrong, I believe that the citation process is, whether it's for tenants or landlords, is already approved. Do we have to change it to make it applicable to tenants?
It does exist, and it should not have to be amended.
Right, I think it's a
because
policy to do it, right? We haven't been doing it for some reason.
We'll just need to make sure, so in the civil citation code, you list which code sections or which chapters and what the level of violation it is, so what fine attaches. So we'll double check that and make sure that chapter 14 is listed in there. There is a catch-all if it's not, so that could be implemented seamlessly.
Right, well, yeah, I mean, we don't have to change anything. That's already there. There had just been some policy not to do it, which I've been arguing.
Well, I think what we're going to have to change something is add the component. We have a civil citation book, which could be against a person. And then we determined several years ago, maybe before Liz was with us, that you could actually cite the business, and it has 3 times, and there's a daily, a fine that goes with it. But actually citing the business, that turns into a code case that follows that route versus going to I think it's administrative judge for a civil
No,
citation.
no, it goes to the court.
It
Civil-
can go to court, but I think we also have a process where it goes before a magistrate.
Yeah, that's what I want to make sure.
Like them going to court.
And I'm not
Process
advocating
is-
for civil citations in court process. I'm saying cite them with the code violation.
Right, and then it goes to the traditional 162 process that eventually goes to the magistrate.
Yes. I am not a fan
I'm
of
not sure
issuing
those are two
a
are tied
notice to
together
appear
in
to a
our
business
ordinance.
owner.
Talk about that.
Yeah, but and then the other thing just on this topic is as we look at these, a lot of times when we're discussing this, we end up separating out a commercial business versus a residential rental. And I think how we address some of this stuff, it becomes overly difficult to address the needs of residential rentals as a business versus our commercial businesses. And I think staff needs to look at potentially separating that out. So specifically around like the use and occupancy stuff and things like that. There's certain things we can do here and not there. To me, it just seems like they're very different entities, very different beasts in terms of a lot of the things on how they get treated. So I think we need to explore potentially separating out some of that or making it more specific to this applies to a commercial lease situation for a business versus a lease situation for a resident. So.
Thank you. Okay, comfort breaks.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, was there a vote?
Yes, we passed it.
It was 4-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick comfort break. We're ready when you are, Mrs. Clerk. Play. The what? Splooting. I like a dog that can sploot.
Mayor, I am here. You're all there. Are we reconvening?
I'm
It
so
is
glad
eight-
you are here.
Thank you. It is 8:31.
Welcome back.
Commissioner Maliga, could you please shut the door?
Yep.
Behind you. Thank you so much.
Oh, now that we're all much more comfortable.
Let it be known, this is the only door I sit with my back to, because I know it's locked on the outside.
It drives you nuts. It doesn't make me nuts. I just think it's, it's part of, it's what makes you, you. For better or for worse. Okay. All right.
Have a voice. Turn around.
Right. Okay, we are up to new business B, request for lease extension from RTT doing Benny's on the Beach, Inc. Who's gonna start this? Who's gonna start this? There is a, this is for I can, they're looking for direction from us for lease extension, and I know that, does anybody want to make a motion or start talking? We have to make a motion to get started.
Say something.
I was just gonna
Give
tell
us
you
a little
bit about what
Give
this
us a little.
did in the staff report.
Give
So
us a little staff report.
this is regarding Benny's on the Beach, which is the restaurant that is on the pier, not at the in the casino building.
Oh, it's just Benny's on the Beach.
Just Benny's on the Beach.
Okay.
They currently have a lease that extends through January of 2033. And they have submitted a request for a lease extension to extend their lease through their full term for the 30 years that's allowed at that facility, which would take them to February of 2043. So we are looking for, you can give us permission to negotiate that lease extension and see if there are other terms in the lease that need to be updated and bring back a full lease extension, negotiated document to you, or you can grant the extension and kind of postpone that discussion with the change in rent and all those things to be discussed at a later date closer to, so you know kind of what the market is at that time, or decide not to negotiate the extension at this time.
Okay, I have a question or a comment. It's a 30 years, but they're taking off the first 12 years. It's like, I refer to it as like time served.
So 30 years from
From the 2013, correct. Okay, correct. Thank you. Somebody, I'm sure. Do we have a motion?
Motion for discussion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Talk about it?
Yeah.
We don't have to do that, but okay.
No, we don't have to do that, but we need a motion. No, we need a motion to speak. And a motion could be anything. It can fail, it can pass.
Could we hear from public comment first?
Sure. I mean, how do you all feel about that?
I'm good.
Okay. Lori Whitkin, who I think left, Ginny Powell, who is here, and Kim Stokes and Dylan Lipton. Madam Clerk, do you have any public comments on this?
Yeah, I have about 8, Madam Mayor.
About 8, okay. Now you want a sweater? That was.
Jenny Powell, 224 North Palm Way. Good evening again. I really think sometimes it would be helpful to hear you all talk first, so it helps us understand how this came to be. I did read most of the backup, But Mayor, I wanted to give you credit for making the comment during the pre-agenda meeting. I thought it was relevant that, well, you had people, you said other tenants ask you about extending their lease. And that was a question that came to my mind. I thought that was a pretty significant or a good question to ask. And I thought the comment that was made about that being an asinine request was disturbing and uncalled for. So, and I didn't talk to you about this, but I thought exactly the same thing. Isn't every tenant going to ask for the same thing? But honestly, I can't think of any benefit to residents for extending this lease like this. I know there was some mention in Mr. Lipton's letter about Benny's Law, which I had never heard of. I Googled it and got a couple different answers. But he's got a 20-year lease essentially that expires in 2033. And I think another 10 years beyond that is there's potentially some changes. I just don't see how this benefits the residents. And at the time in 2033, 7 years from now, he's asking to negotiate 7 years early. This just makes no sense to me. There will be new people in office likely, and they may have different priorities. I think that what happens then will be a vision, I hope, and a strategic plan. And I think the commissioners who are in office at that time should be the ones that are helping to make those decisions. I just think this is premature. We're looking at adding 17 years to his lease, but if this was to pass, and we just renegotiated 3 years ago.
Thank you. That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Stokes? Well, Ms. Stokes?
All right, Kim Stokes, 1321 North L Street. I'm just a little confused about why Benny's isn't getting the same carrot and stick treatment you guys just discussed about giving the beach club. They still have like 7 years left on this lease. And you talked about the importance of being able to hold your tenant accountable and go out in your fiduciary responsibility and go out for the market rate. And I don't know how you do that when you prematurely 7 years before the end of a lease, just grant a 10-year extension because somebody wants it and it would be nice for them. I didn't see anything in the backup justifying this extension. The letter from the tenant does not read like a serious request from a tenant to a neutral body representing the public's interest. It talked about this weird Benny's Law thing. It seems like an AI hallucination. I don't know where that came from. There are generic references to continued capital investment, but not even a single example of what that capital investment has been. No receipts. People are watching the way that you're treating the beach club, and they're watching the way that you're rolling out the red carpet for Benny's, and always do. And they just don't see why one tenant gets this special treatment. And there are a lot of people, and I know you're not going to want to hear this, but they are wondering and calling foul play. And when they see that Mr. Lipton, the owner, was one of the largest contributors to Peggy Fisher's PAC, whose sole purpose was getting Mimi May elected and keeping Commissioner Malega in office, they have serious concerns, and they should. It doesn't look right when the contrast between the way the beach club and Benny's is being treated is miles apart. I also believe staff does not need to waste their time trying to predict the future right now to figure out what the reasonable terms would be in 7 years for this extension. We're constantly hearing that they have too many priorities. We can't move things fast enough. But when Benny's asked for something, they get it. And I really think that there's more important issues facing the city right now than to have staff spending time negotiating something that isn't even relevant for 7 more years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lipton.
Dylan Lipton, 1802 North Lakeside and 10 South Ocean Boulevard, Benny's on the Beach. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For 4 decades, Benny's has been far more than a restaurant. We have become a part of the identity of Lake Worth Beach. Generations of residents have celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, graduations, and countless family milestones with us. Visitors from around the world associate Lake Worth Beach with the iconic image of Benny's on the Beach. Benny's employs over 100 local residents, serves as a major tourism driver, and generates economic activity that extends well beyond our four walls. We are a year-round anchor, helping support surrounding businesses and maintaining activity at arguably the city's most important public asset, the beach. Beyond rent, Benny's invests roughly $1 million annually in maintenance, repairs, utilities, capital improvements, taxes, insurance, employee parking, and ongoing stewardship of this public facility. I highlight the repairs to demonstrate that there are unique challenges associated with operating a restaurant and pier open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on stilts over the Atlantic Ocean 365 days a year. There are investments that directly benefit the property, the beach, and the public experience. As Benny's approaches its 40th anniversary serving Lake Worth Beach, we respectfully request consideration of a 10-year extension to our current lease, utilizing a structure that includes a 5% rent increase every 2 years, together with tenant renewal options at the commencement and the extension, and 5 years, and again 5 years after. This request is not based on what we have done in the past alone. It is based on what we continue to contribute today. Our proposal would further increase the city's revenue. A 5% biannual escalation over this extension period would result in the rent growing from approximately $500,000 annually to more than $630,000 annually by the conclusion of the extension. This provides meaningful long-term revenue growth for the city while giving Benny's the certainty necessary to continue making substantial investments in the property. Importantly, this request aligns with the intent expressed by the voters of Lake Worth Beach in 2020 when they approved the city's ability to enter into 30-year beachfront leases. Those voters.
That's time.
That's time. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have any? You said you do.
Yes, I have 8, Madam Mayor.
Why don't you do
them? Donna Kerner, 1012 North J Street. Why is the city negotiating a lease extension with Lee Lipton 7 years before his current lease expires? What benefit does this provide to the city and its residents? On whose behalf is the city negotiating? Mr. Lipton still has 7 years remaining on his lease. A 10-year extension would carry the agreement through 2043 and would effectively prevent future commissions from considering proposals from other prospective operators for decades. Before moving forward, the commission should clearly explain why such an extension is in the public interest and why this opportunity should not be subject to a competitive process. Residents deserve transparency, consistency, and confidence that all tenants are being treated fairly under the same standards. Lawrence Casenti of the Gulfstream Hotel, One Lake Avenue. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I understand there are differing opinions regarding the proposed lease extension. While not everyone may agree, I encourage the Commission and the community to view this as an opportunity to build upon a proven success story. Benny's on the Beach has been a part of the fabric of Lake Worth Beach for decades and remains one of the city's strongest tourism demand generators, attracting visitors from throughout South Florida and beyond. As downtown continues to grow and the Gulfstream Hotel prepares to reopen, those visitors will increasingly cross the bridge, dine in our restaurants, shop in our stores, and support local businesses. Many cities would be fortunate to have a tenant with Benny's track record, longevity, and commitment to the community. I respectfully encourage the Commission and our community to support the lease extension and continue a partnership that benefits residents, visitors, and local businesses alike. Thank you. Giovanna Dominguez Timor, 301 8th Avenue North, no extension. Nancy Udell, 1131 North Palmway. Dear Mayor and Commissioners, I've racked my brain and cannot think of any benefit to the city or the people you represent to approving this request. Benny's has 7 years left on its current lease. What possible benefit can flow to the people from approving this extension 7 years before the expiration of the existing lease? It is not good business and not in the best interests of the people. No one knows at this time what conditions will be like at the time this lease expires. It is not in the best interest of the people for this commission to reach out into the future and tie the hands of future commissions. The Lake Worth Pier is one of only 3 such locations in all of Palm Beach County and is a valuable asset owned by the people, not by Benny's. Prior to the expiration of the current lease, Benny's will have the opportunity to request an extension or compete with other interested parties to utilize this magnificent public asset. This is exactly how things are being handled at the Beach Club. Their lease is ending and they are invited to compete with other interested parties to remain in the space. Please reject this proposal. Also, commissioners who accepted donations from the PAC to which Benny's contributed during the last municipal election should disclose that information. Sarah Forbes Martin, 1121 North Lakeside Drive. Good evening. I'm here to express my support for extending the lease for Benny's on the Beach at both the pier and main building locations. Benny's on the Beach has become much more than a restaurant. It is a destination, a community gathering place, and one of the most recognizable waterfront experiences in Lake Worth Beach. For decades, Benny's has welcomed residents and visitors alike, creating a vibrant atmosphere that showcases the very best of our city. As someone who works in hospitality and events, I understand the importance of businesses that consistently deliver positive guest experiences while contributing to the local economy. Benny's attracts visitors from throughout South Florida and beyond, generating tourism, supporting local jobs, and introducing countless people to Lake Worth Beach. Many guests who visit Benny's also patronize other local businesses, helping strengthen our entire community. The pier is one of our city's most treasured assets. Maintaining a successful, well-operated business in such a unique environment requires significant investment, commitment, and operational expertise. Benny's has demonstrated that commitment year after year, serving as a reliable steward of this important public space. Beyond the economic impact, Benny's has become woven into the fabric of our community. It is where families celebrate milestones, friends gather, visitors experience our waterfront, and residents proudly bring guests from out of town. It has become part of the identity of Lake Worth Beach itself. While every lease decision should be carefully evaluated, I believe Benny's has earned the opportunity to continue serving our community. Their proven track record, investment in the property, contribution to tourism, creation of local jobs, and commitment to Lake Worth Beach community make them a valuable partner for the city. Deborah Knoll, 1 11th Avenue North. I would like to understand why Benny's needs to extend their lease for more than 10 years. It's already been given. More than the 10 years it's already been given. They already have a monopoly at the beach. I also feel the lease at the Beach Club should be extended. Well, Benny's may appeal to tourists, the Beach Club appeals to golfers, but more importantly, the residents of our community. Shouldn't that matter? Diane Brown, 905 North Lakeside Drive. I appreciate all the nice things about Benny's on the Beach, but I feel it is not in the city's best interest to extend this lease at this time. What value does this have for our city? Will you negotiate a better deal for our city? Will you require more maintenance provided by Benny's? Will you increase the rent? You give Benny's preferential treatment. Some point out this is an extension of an existing lease versus a new lease like the Beach Club. There is no need to give this extension for the residents of Lake Worth Beach. And the last comment I have is from Jordan Wissell, 129 North Federal Highway. Hello, I am writing in strong support of keeping Benny's on the Beach as part of our Lake Worth Beach community. As a local business owner, I have seen firsthand the positive impact Benny's has on our area. Benny's is more than just a restaurant. It is a landmark, a gathering place, an important part of what makes Lake Worth Beach such a special place to live, work, and visit. For many residents and visitors, Benny's is one of the first places that comes to mind when they think of our beach, our pier, and the character of our city. Benny's brings people to Lake Worth Beach. It supports countless jobs, attracts visitors, and creates valuable foot traffic that benefits many surrounding local businesses. When people come to Benny's, they often stay in the area, walk around, visit nearby shops, and contribute to the local economy. That kind of impact is not easy to replace. We also cannot speak highly enough of the management team at Benny's. Their commitment to the community, their customers, and the overall character of Lake Worth Beach is clear. They have helped create a welcoming place that reflects the spirit of our city and adds to the experience of everyone who comes here. Businesses like Benny's help define the identity of Lake Worth Beach. They are part of the history, culture, and everyday life of our community. Losing Benny's would not only affect the restaurant itself, but also the employees, neighboring businesses, residents, and visitors who benefit from its presence. Please let my comments reflect that we are strongly in favor of keeping Benny's on the beach as a valued and lasting part of our community. We hope to see Benny's continue serving Lake Worth Beach for many years to come. That's my last comment for this evening, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. We do have one more in-person comment, Laura Levitas. Levitas.
It's okay. Hi, 1030 North Lakeside Drive, Laura Levitas. It's hard for me to talk about Benny's and not talk about the beach club at the same time because it seems like we're on two different sides. Granted, Benny's is beautiful, the pier is beautiful, but I hear tourists, 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 tourists. And with the beach club, I hear community, 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 community. Now, I think one of the biggest problems in Lake Worth Beach is our price points at restaurants. We don't have we have a low income population mostly, or medium income. And that makes it hard to go to Benny's on the beach, but I can go to the beach club and get something. I do have an ask for Benny's. I don't know if I could do it here. Okay, no, I'll ask him in the back. I wonder what it would be like to open it up and see what our other options are. That's what I'd like to see. That doesn't mean we do anything. We just open it up. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we've had our public comment. Who wants to go first? Who wants to make a motion? Mr. Segridge? Yeah.
I'll go first. Yeah. Try to follow the rules. So looking at some of the comments, we already had a motion to discuss.
Well, to discuss. All right.
So looking at the beach club versus Benny's, and I think it's important to draw some distinctions there for people listening. The beach club is very similar in position to where Benny's was when they had to do their last negotiations, facing lease expiration, being thought to be under market in their rents, and the city wanting to renegotiate most of the terms in the lease. Now, they're in the middle of their lease, a successful business, by all accounts, a highly productive and good member of the city fabric. It's, we don't hear about code violations and issues at Benny's. So the two are in completely different spaces. But it's interesting to me that, when Benny's needed to renegotiate and was in the same position as the beach club, they got dragged through the ringer for about 8 months, maybe 12, going back and forth. And some of the people who commented on it tonight were involved in that. And the same people say, hey, wait a minute. Don't negotiate with the beach club. We love them. We want them to stay, and we don't want any changes to them. They're great for our community. And I think we do need to look at these things as, what's good for our community, what's good for the city. A couple of things to point out. Benny's on the Beach is our highest paying tenant by price per square foot, as well as total rents by a mile. There is no one else that pays more. Now, they are in the premier spot of our city. They're kind of the crown jewel at the beach. Well, no, but you laugh, but that's a very real consideration. $1 million a year in maintenance and so on and insurance for such an eventuality. Having worked in hurricane disaster, knowingly running a business that every August could be absolutely wiped off the map, that takes an awful lot of risk, right? It takes an awful lot of guts to do that. So, you know, I understand the want and the need for security. If I'm going to invest in a business, I want to make sure that my business can be there in that location for as long as I want it to be and be successful. Traditional leases for restaurants usually start off either 7 to 10 years with 5 and 5 and 5 renewals, getting them up to 20 to 30 years. You know, so it's not unheard of to look at this. The question was asked, why would somebody request it now when there's still several years left on their lease? I wouldn't blame them after what they went through on their last renewal. I would get that negotiated as quickly as possible. And you laugh. It's not funny what you did to that business, but you laugh. Okay. Also, we hear a lot about referendums and how the people speak. Well, the people did speak on this one, and it went to referendum, and it allowed us to do up to 30-year leases, primarily with the businesses at the casino complex in mind. Now, I did make a comment in the pre-agenda meeting where it was brought up, Mayor, you brought up, hey, you know, we should be renegotiating all of these at the same time. And I'll stand by what I said. Every single one of those businesses can go and request this of us. And if they want to, they should. But for us to reverse it and force, just because one asked to bring everyone else to the table, that's not how business works. So with addressing some of that, I look at this and I say, okay, when the last lease negotiation was going on, the groundswell of individuals in support of this business was tremendous. They've been a good member of the Lake Worth Beach community for over 40 years. They are a success story in our city. They are the highest producing piece of real estate we have. And where people are saying, oh, we want to have affordability and so on. The only reason to bring something like this out to market would be to get a lot more money. Well, you go and the only person that's going to come in is going to have higher prices. So if you, instead of want Benny's on the beach, you want Nobu on the pier, great. It's just going to be $300 a plate. The other thing, and it dawned on me later after thinking about the pre-agenda, Commissioner Boyd had brought up, well, we should put this out to bid and we should break their lease. He actually asked what it would take to break their lease. And it just shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to have a lease agreement. We cannot break the lease. We cannot at this point put it out to bid. So our choices are, do we want to grant an extension option or do we not? It's not our choice whether or not we put it out to bid. That would come at the end of whatever lease. I'm looking at this and I think that extending the lease would allow them to reinvest in the infrastructure at the pier. They've already started to do it with the HVAC overhaul and so on that they did, invested $500,000 in that. Our pier isn't in the greatest of shape, and that building is not in the greatest of shape. And this business has shown a commitment to maintaining that building above and beyond what is required in their lease. So I would be inclined to basically say, let's offer them an extension option of the 10 years and give them an escalator. I think, you know, given to where the rents are going to be comparatively in the rest of our city, 5% every 2 years escalator on that, I'd be comfortable with that. They're already coming up to nearly, you know, an additional $600,000 in income. And just to highlight the disparity in what we're getting for rents, we have some buildings in this city that are being rented out for $1 a square foot from the city. No one complains about them because they serve a community need. Not everything has to be maximized, and I'm very big on having the city make revenue and so on. But when you're looking at your overall portfolio of stuff, you don't take your top performing asset and say, let's try to squeeze every last bit out of that. You try to bring everyone up to par. And that's where kind of the beach club conversation comes into play. The beach club is roughly paying around $10 a square foot. Although I don't necessarily agree with the market analysis, $22 a square foot is what it came back, plus 6% of revenue. We hammer it out. That's coming out to around $35 a square foot for the beach club. So there you have an asset that's completely underwater. You know, this is an opportunity, I think, for us to solidify a relationship with Benny's and give them the ability to invest in the future, because they are going to need to do that. And if they don't have a longer lease, why would they do that? You know, I can't think, you know, myself as a business owner, if in 5 years I'm going to have to be looking for a new place to hang my hat, why am I going to invest another $700,000 into the infrastructure of our pier? Why not just ride it out and let it become the city's problem, right? And at that point, it's going to be, hey, city, what are you going to do for us to keep us? So in terms of the benefit, I think this gives us a good, solid position. I would be in support. I don't want to go through the process of renegotiating every single one of the terms. We just did that. This is basically just saying, let's grant an option and let's set an escalator. And, you know, it's simple, it's easy, and I think it benefits the city and it benefits them, and it's a win-win all around.
Thank you, Ms. Malega.
So thank you. As being one of the people who was up here during the lease negotiations with Benny and we lived in the entity and fought to keep one of our largest employers in the city. There were some times where I thought he should have just walked away. Because at one point, you know, you can only get so much gray hair and be slapped in the face so much. So a couple of things that I like is that this not only allows a potential business owner to look and invest in the future and his employees and the longevity of the city, it's going to help the city maintain the budget for the beach. If we know we're getting X amount of dollars for the next 20, 30 years, we are not flush in cash. We have big changes coming forward. If I have a business that's willing to sign a longer lease, make a longer commitment to this city right now, and continue to invest in the property that they're in. And again, that's, people can sit up here and talk about Beach Club and Benny's. They're two different worlds. The money that's put into the building is one thing. That's the cost of doing business. And I've said this to them before. I have cost of doing business. My AC goes out. I'm calling the AC people and writing a check. That's the cost of being a business owner. It's part of my lease. On the flip side, nobody talks about what they pay to the parking fund at the beach. How much revenue they bring in after 5 o'clock in parking revenue at the beach. Not many people are swimming with the sharks after 5 o'clock at night. The good media that is brought to this city because of Benny's being on the front page of not just travel magazines, but hospitality magazines that are global, are putting Lake Worth Beach on the map and having people consider coming here to work, to live, and to invest. It's not the city government that's drawing attention on the front page of these great newspapers, but Benny's, is in my world, is part of what makes the fabric of the city work. 40 years is a long time, you guys, to have a business, in a restaurant business, to survive COVID, to survive hurricanes. And it rains, guess who's not busy? Benny's at the beach. But guess what? They still have employees to take care of. They still have overhead. So I don't look at this as, however people want to say it, a handout or whatever we're doing. This is somebody saying, okay, we waited, we watched how people voted in March, and it's apparent that people want to keep the character of the beach the way it is. The character of the beach is Benny's and Kilwin's and Mamma Mia's. That's what's the character at the beach. Now, I'm not rich and I'm not poor. I'm kind of right in the middle. but I did a little experiment on my own yesterday, and I went to Benny's. And I said, okay, I'm a local. I just want to go to breakfast by myself. I want to hide. So I went upstairs. Nobody knew. I was in the upstairs little enclosed area. And I was there at 10:41 in the morning. So apparently there's a breakfast special that I missed. And I ordered the sunrise, which is 2 eggs, 1 piece of toast, bacon, and potatoes, nothing to drink, water, without a credit card fee. Before my tip, it was $16. So I asked myself, as the person up here making this decision, how much more can I increase their rent to where even I could go have breakfast on off season? I spent $20 on breakfast for one person. Not that I'm complaining because the food was great, but $20 with tip. And so we have to be careful when we make this decision, because I hear what people are saying. We want to be able to support local. So that is a balancing act for us, right? We have to guess what the market's going to bear, but in 3 years and 5 years from now, we don't know what this state's going to look like, much less this county, when it comes to who can afford what. So I want us to be cautious. I am in favor of staff moving forward with a lease conversation and maximizing this to the 30 years. I think it's good for the business owners. I think it's good for the city, for our finances to know where we sit. But I want us to be cautious that if I can't go buy myself breakfast for less than $25, that's a problem. Because then now I can't support this business. And now I got to look at supporting, I hate to say it, but corporate America, who's selling stuff that's half the quality without the view and not supporting my local businesses. So it is a balancing act. Again, and anybody who wants to see my bill, there it is. I really think that we need to be cautious in that escalator, because when I hear what you're saying, and again, I'm not comparing one restaurant or one tenant to another because it's 2 different animals. I do want us to be cautious on how much we escalate this, because I want to be able to, and I don't go out to eat that much. If I go out to eat once or twice a month, that's huge in our house. And I want to be able to support local, but I don't think that supporting local should put the locals out of the ability to show up. There are some restaurants that I can't afford to go to, and I choose not to try to break the bank to go to in town. Because to me, I would rather support the locals who I know support this community. And let's just put that aside. Benny's, every time they're called upon, from back to school drives, to toy drives, to the bikes, to the sponsors for the firework thing that we're doing the 4th of July, the drones, they always step up. I can't think of many other businesses in this city, we should probably pay our light bill, that have stepped up the way that this entity does when it comes to being a community partner. And that is one of the reasons that I fought for them years ago, and I will continue to fight. This is not a business that opens its doors, makes a ton of money, rolls down the doors, and then drives to Wellington. These people live in our city, they employ people in our city, and they support Lake Worth Beach. And we're not even talking about the utilities and the licensing that they pay for. And I mean, they fill many buckets financially, but it's a bigger impact. It's the dollar for dollar that goes back into our city that they make, that we see a return on our investment. And for that reason, I'll be supporting this.
Thank you, Ms. May.
Thank you. Everything needs to be said, but not everybody needs to say it. So I'm not going to repeat what I've already heard, but I do want to talk about basically the public comment was the same. It was, this is an institution. This is where we have weddings and celebrations. This is where our family meets. This is our community. What's the word I'm looking for? Gathering spot. So and that's why I wanted to keep the beach club, because I do agree that the beach club has the same idea. I mean, it's a different price point, and we should have different price points in the city. And, I think that I'm going to support this. I am just like I want to support Mitch and the beach club. And I think that one of the differences I do see is not the giving back to the community as much Mitch tries to, and Benny's does a lot more than that. But Mitch will allow, community groups to use the facility for community gatherings. But it's the investment back into the property. That's the problem. That's the difference I see between the beach club and Benny's. I mean, Benny's does they have to buy TVs every 6 months because they're on the water, because the TVs die. the air conditioning's out every day. I mean, it's difficult. I don't know how they do it. I don't want to know because I'm not in the restaurant business. I just want to be able to show up and have dinner. But very similarly, the amount of money that is put back into that is one of the reasons why I will be voting yes on this. The other reason is the stability. We're looking for financial stability for the city. And if we have a partner, because I don't know if, as was said, if we put this out to bid, we're not going to find somebody who's going to pay more than they're paying. So it doesn't make sense to do so. With the beach club, we realize that this is a different animal. We will negotiate and to keep the price point low and keep it a neighborhood spot. But they're two different entities, but they both have the ability to give the city financial stability in one way or another. So let's see. I just want to make sure. And I also think that the return on investment and the dollar for dollar isn't comparable because people don't come from Miami up to go to the beach club, but they do come from Miami and they come from all over to go to Benny's on the beach. So that's what I think I can add to what's already been said.
Okay, one of the things that was, a new tie in the hands of a new commission, I think that's one of the things that is actually an argument in favor of doing this, because with all the investments that they make, with the history that they have, right, it's one less thing to worry about. And uncertainty, I mean, they are on a pier. And again, thank you for saying it needs to be said, but everybody doesn't need to say it. But I think that one of the things, right? But I think that one of the things that is important is for Benny's to have the kind of certainty that, like we were talking about, we have seen very drastic changes and things in the city with the change in commission. And I think that Benny's deserves, from the track record they have for their involvement in the community, the fact that it's a very uncertain place that they're doing business. If it's just talking about Benny's right now, and not the Ocean Walk and the other places, I think they deserve the stability of continuing there. Mr. Segrich.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So Sarah, I thought your receipt was going to go in the different direction. I think a $20 breakfast is actually quite reasonable.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was just looking up prices of breakfasts in other places in town, and that's not out of line at all for what. Yeah. And you're on the beach. So,
I mean, the example I use is their turkey club. It's like $20 there, but the turkey sandwich at 2 days is almost the same price and 1/3 the size. But anyway, I touching on what you said, Mayor, having a longer term lease also is a defense to development at the beach. If our tenants there have longer term leases, and again, I disagree in kind of who needs to bring it forward, but I would encourage all of our tenants who want to extend their leases, come forward and request it. That is a good defense to development coming in, because it is secure and it must remain the same. And people really voted, we want the beach to remain the same. And I hear you, Sarah, about trying not to over escalate and turn it into forcing it into higher price points and so on. So maybe I'll dial a little bit back on the escalator. Maybe that'll be better. But I think we have to give staff clear direction as to, okay, this is what we want you to do. So I would make a motion to direct staff to offer a 10-year lease extension option. I believe that's the date, to 2043. And that option have a 4% biannual escalator and keep all other lease terms the same.
I think we should go with 5.
Okay.
Because right now they have it at 3.5 every year. So it makes sense, because I think that was too high.
I have another idea.
So I can't second that, but I can second 5.
And if you don't mind, my idea would be to, they're really asking at this point for the extension of the lease. In terms of future commissioners, we don't know what the market, how things are going to be going in 7 or 10 years. I would almost suggest that maybe a possibility would be to grant the extension of the lease and let the future commissioner,
You do 4.5.
well, I just think that, we're, what? Well, I can't hear you.
I was trying to adjust Sarah's.
No, but it was brought up by the owner that they want a 5% escalator. Why would we
Right.
go lower?
So I'll change it to 5% biannual.
For 2 seconds. Where did it say 5%?
He said it vocally when he came.
Oh, okay.
And keeping all these, everything else the same,
Yes.
with the caveat,
What?
no more lease extensions, amendments. This is gonna be solidified.
They would not have any other extensions available to them.
Because it hits the 30-year mark.
Okay.
It would have to be a whole.
Yeah,
new-
because we're redoing the 30 years.
And 43 would have to be the whole new.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can go through
What's
that spiel
Not that
again.
I'm gonna be here, I mean, God, I might be, but, in the lease extension, what is the time where they have to come forward if they want to renegotiate at the end? Which will probably be Dylan's kids, I'm sure, will be here to do those lease negotiations. Brigham Young.
Well, if we're doing 5% biannually, won't that just continue until the end of the lease?
Right, correct. I was just asking at the end of, is it a 2-year, like 24 months that they have to let the
Let us
city
know
know?
that they want.
Correct, that's what I'm asking.
Well, they would have to negotiate an entirely new lease at the end of this.
Right.
So I don't think
we care
there's,
about that.
I didn't read anything in the lease that had any particular timeline of when they would need to do that
That's
by.
why I asked. All
Um,
right, so 5% biannually.
I mean, we could add a 1-year notice or 6-month notice if they want to renegotiate, because it takes a long time for them to negotiate this.
That's why I was just, I was asking for my own, because I didn't see anything in the writing about when they need to let us know. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, it's not.
I will second your motion for approval and give staff direction on a 5% increase biannually, keeping all other portions of the lease the same.
Do I have a second?
That was.
Oh, that was a second. Okay, I'm reading here. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on.
I'll buy you breakfast. It's fine.
You don't eat breakfast?
He said he'll buy her breakfast.
Oh, he'll buy you bread. That's nice. Okay, next up
Motion
is
to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 D, construction contract with A1 Property Services.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Motion by May, second by
Maliga.
Malega, Mr. Segwich.
So I know we have to do this, and we've already approved it. But I do think it needs to be stated because I in my adventure in permitting, I was spending some time down there, and I was talking to a gentleman outside of the building, and I was looking at the bill outside of 1900, and I was looking at the building and really kind of thinking about things. And I noticed the roof is growing trees. It is a little bad. And
That's our tree canopy.
so, it's a 1 3/4 standing seam roof. Seam roof. A roof like that, properly maintained, has a lot of longevity. But to look up and see trees growing out of it tells me that we haven't been properly caring for it. And I can't help but think that perhaps this is an expense that could have been a heck of a lot less if we took care of our buildings. I think about looking at the annex roof before I even became a commissioner, seeing the tiles missing and saying for years, the mold problem they're going to have in that building, I would love to get that remediation job because it's going to be a total gut. Lo and behold, now it's a total gut. I just want to, we really have to take better care of our assets. And in this budget season, focusing on infrastructure and asset maintenance before we move into other things has to be a top priority. And then the only last thing with this is emphasizing the importance of that facilities management, where, you know, we have people scattered all across the city and so on, and we're repairing this building and you know, we're having to do the roof and having to extend, you know, we're paying over $200,000 to house people for 16 months. We could have leased an entire building for 5 years for that amount. So, you know, moving forward, I hope, and I think we're getting there. You know, I see that we are changing the way that we're doing things and digging ourselves out of some of the asset maintenance debt, essentially, that we have. I think we just need to make sure we focus on that and really take it to heart, because I'm not going to lie, it pissed me off to see stuff growing out of that roof when we're paying for a new one. Because regardless of whether or not it's in bad shape, it should not have stuff growing out of it. There's no excuse for that. So,
Ms. May?
Thank you. That just reminded me that we do need to look, and this has nothing to do with, well, it has something to do with the roof, in the fact that we do need to look at an overall facilities plan, because we're whack-a-mole and all this stuff. So can we give consensus to kind of do that? I know you're working on it, but
I think the Public Works Director said during one of our previous meetings that should be, it's going to be brought forward in the budget this year.
okay.
So
And that's going to
do
include all of the departments, not just Public Works,
That's
like
correct.
all of our assets.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep.
that sounds good.
Mhm.
But I mean, every time I see 1900, I know it's dollar signs. And so I agree that it hasn't been maintained, and there's not good planning on any of these projects over there. So it's very frustrating. I feel like, you know, that there's been holes digging that we have to get people out of now. What? No, there's people in the holes. We got to get them out.
And this.
I know. I mean, I'm gonna vote yes because we have to put a roof, but I agree that we need to be better stewards of our properties.
And one of the things we do have to bear in mind, though, is we are the current sitting commission. Oh, yeah, these things didn't start 3 years ago or 4 years ago. The annex building has been abused and not maintained for 100 years. So I don't want to lay it on any particular person, but I do agree that we should be more careful about our stuff. So we have
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh. You said it though. You answered. You see, it's getting late.
Don't answer if I don't say it.
Say
All in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye, Mayor Rush.
Get more respect.
All right.
Boy, that's deep. Okay.
Okay. Letter E, motion to approve.
Okay, I got it. We're next. Jesus. Everybody wants to be the main.
Who cares?
Okay,
Bajo.
now we are at E, First Amendment to the agreement for Valle Cohen Agliano for services related to the disaster of the sewage force main.
Motion to approve.
I already made the motion.
You did?
Yep.
Second by, I think Ms. Maliga
No,
wants.
second can have.
Second can second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. F,
Motion to approve.
do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Malega, second by Segwich, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Who is it? Maliga 1, Seg 2, 4-0.
Keep this issue of records. Yeah, but who knows what I did these afterwards. Hopefully the clerk is as well. Commissioner comments. Where do you want to start? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Miss May wants to go first.
So just a couple things. The I spent yesterday with Davidson from Refuse. And I didn't get to ride on the trucks, so I have to go back because I really want to ride on the trucks. But I did, because who doesn't want to ride on the garbage truck? Anyway, I didn't get to do that, so I have to go back. But well, you know me. But anyway, I am very glad that I did it because I got to do a couple things. The first thing was Christine in the office. She took me into her office and showed me the computer program that they got when they put all the cameras on the trucks. So you can see all the little do and where all the little trucks are and how long they've been idle. And it gives the real time of where every single truck is. And she showed me the video of the incident with and so that incident, they have that for evidence for court cases. So and for the safety of the employees, and also little things that I didn't think about it. A truck's idling too long at the transfer station, then they call and say, oh, what's going on over there? Oh, the line's really long today, or something like that. So it was I thought that was cool. And then we got in the regular white truck, but we followed around the picker guy for bulk, because it was bulk in Sarah's district, and it was recycling as well. So we got to see the recycling truck and the bulk guy. That thing's cool. It drives backwards with the little things. But I thought it was that was really good. But one of the things that I talked to him about was our proposal to change the bulk day. Not change it, to add a second bulk day. And here's what I learned. Our city is very small, but the two sides of it, I hate to say that, have different needs. And the west side needs a second bulk day. The east side needs to keep its veg day. For two reasons. One, there's more veg there, but two, we make a lot of money on that vegetation because when we deliver it, they do something with it, but they pay us for it. So especially in zone 3. So I don't want to make a change that's going to take away from a non-ad valorem source of funding. So, then I said, well, can't we do it half and half? They weren't happy about that. And then the manager kind of reminded me, if that's the direction, they'll figure it out. But we need to kind of figure out what we want to do with that, with the needs of the city in mind, because having a second bulk day in my neighborhood doesn't make any sense.
Can I just say, in my neighborhood, if bulk was the first week of the month, it would greatly change things.
So I hear
Because it's
you.
a rental district.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you. They don't have the data to support that. And they're really, really, really don't want to switch the day. The adding of the second one makes more sense for that district than the switching of the week. So I don't know what we're going to do about it, but I think that it might behoove you guys to talk directly to the department and Christine and find out what we can do. But it was, I don't like to make decisions unless I go and look and ask, because I'm not picking up the garbage. So I want to know what they think. And they said originally it was 2 and 2, and it was requested by zone 3 with a lot of pressure from zone 3 to make it 3 veggies and 1 bulk. So if we want to add another bulk week, we can do whatever we want. We just have to make sure that we're willing to fund it or figure out how to do it. But I want you guys to think about what I learned and put it into some sort of plan.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I did want to make sure we clarify, because the original consensus from the board was to look at starting something in August and moving those pickups to the first week of each month. But I believe once the director took a look at it, he was recommending that we alter that and come up with a second week, your second date. So we just need to talk about it and make sure we're on the same.
What if we
page on
just
how we
added a
actually want to do it?
second bulk day to the west side? Don't mess with the east side. Well, the south, I don't know, you're good. I don't know.
And I can get with the director and maybe we can come up with 3 or 4 different options and maybe bring back to the board.
Yeah,
that you
it's
can
just,
consider.
I don't know that just switching the bulk day is going to matter. It's going to make a difference.
In my district, vegetation is not the issue.
No, it is not.
I mean, it is the bulk. And
I know, I was
it's-
there. I was watching it.
And again, it's a high rent district.
Right.
And I think that, when you look at most of the people and landlords move out the last weekend,
Mhm.
but yet my bulk is the third week of the month. You know what happens? All that bulk sits in the yard or sits on porches and then it looks horrible. Or they put it out and then they get fined.
Right. No, I completely agree with you, but in my neighborhood, if I took out a veg day when they have the lawn guys putting it out the day before, I'm gonna hear about it. So
My-
we have to figure out a
My
compromise.
landscapers take it away with them. They don't, I mean, that's part of what I pay for, and they do trees and when they do. That might be solved part of the problem. What you're saying, I see your light, I just.
I was just going to comment on that.
Me too, just really,
Okay.
real quick. You say the west side and the east side. Now you live in a different section of the east side than I do, Miss May. And my section of the east side has a bit of a need for bulk as well.
Well, I've gotten emails from South Palm Park saying, please don't take away our veg day. So I guess there
I'm
are
not saying
different
take-
needs.
But I'm just saying.
A
South Palm-
second bulk day wouldn't kill everybody, but we can't take away the veg day to do it.
Right, and South Palm Park has a different demographic than where I live.
I know, that's my point. My point is that our city has different needs in different areas. And so to make one general, I know, and then we generally do that, we make one policy, but that's not helping everybody. And the goal is to give people each what they need. Not everybody gets the
So
same
you're
thing.
saying add a bulk day to the.
Well, it's
to the
equity. I'm saying let staff figure it out, but we can't just take away veg.
What's the staff figure
So,
out?
I was the one that actually made that consensus item, and it was to add a bulk day. And then,
If we can afford it.
yeah, well,
This stuff.
it comes out of, it's not out of the general fund, but right, but I know,
Okay.
but I was just saying, it wasn't to swap the days, it was to add add a second collection.
Okay.
And it wasn't to start in August, it was to come up with a plan.
That's.
Okay.
That wasn't,
No.
maybe it's a different item, but the consensus was, and I think was made by Commissioner Malega, to start in August.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Correct.
Okay, that's, okay, Mr. Segridge, District 4?
Okay, I'm not sure when that was, but during the budget session, we talked about it again. Okay. All right. Could be wrong.
Could be wrong. Banter, this idle banter.
District 4, I don't have much. I will be doing the town hall on July 15th. I apologize for the confusion when we had the discussion, but it will just be a town hall because we have the special meeting after that. I did want to, say thank you to staff and touch on a couple of departments there. The parking division. I've been sending them a lot of stuff lately. And they've been very responsive. They've dealt with a number of nuisance problems that residents have been having. And the residents were very happy to see that action. In one particular case, we had a vehicle that got ticketed, and then police came because it was stolen, and then it was taken away, and the next day replaced by another vehicle in the exact same spot with the doors open, that's now been ticketed several times, which is now on its way to being towed away. So it's just interesting to see, the parking division is also kind of, intertwined with everything and helping clean up. And again, thank you to all the people who are working in the temporary facilities at 1900, keeping those doors open. It's business as usual in there. Actually, I kind of thought it. I did make the comment to them in there that it felt friendlier because we didn't have to sit behind the bulletproof glass in between. We actually got to sit down next to the person helping us from customer service and have a little bit of a conversation. Hey, how's your day? Whereas when you've got that window in between you, it's a lot less personal. So something to think about with that moving forward. And that's pretty much it. Bryant Park, the playground equipment construction is well underway. And we don't, just for people listening, we don't have a definitive timeline on when the old pier next to the boat ramps will be opening up. But they ran into unexpected stuff. So more work. So it's gonna be next Wednesday. Yeah.
It's gonna be done then?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. New news next week, Wednesday. We're gonna hold you to it.
We need
Mimi.
the ribbon cutting. We need to have ribbon cutting. What did you forget, Miss May?
I forgot, one of the things that I noticed on my ride along was the ball fields. The ball fields have been being used as soccer fields again on the weekends, which I don't necessarily care, except for there were beer cans everywhere. And some of them were in bags, but that's our park staff has to go clean that up. And that's not okay. And so we need to talk to PBSO, have them go, ask them if they have a permit to use the field, because it's not even a field, so they don't have a permit. So they need to kick them off because they have not been good stewards of our land. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It was Sundays because when I went there, it was Monday morning.
We work with the sheriff's office to try to address it. So I'll remind them.
Yeah, Monday morning, it was disgusting. And then I know I asked you to say it, but I think because it's in my district, I do want to give an update on the Tropical Ridge Park, the CDBG. We did get the extension, so we have till next August. So they have the time to go back to the neighborhood and then bring something forward to us.
Good. Thank you. Miss Malaga.
Okay, so first I want to thank all the displaced staff because I feel like our staff is everywhere in the city. And they're all working from different areas. They don't have their same team around them. They're facing a lot of challenges. So if you're listening, please be kind to staff. Thank you, staff, for all being displaced and just rolling with it. Park Rangers conversation coming up soon, right, Mr. Perry?
As a matter of fact, we had a meeting on yesterday, and they gave us an update and provided us some additional information. What we're trying to do is get something before the commission, maybe the second week in July, second meeting in July. We talked about yesterday.
So I just want to make sure it's part of the budget conversation. I know we have a line item already kind of put aside for it, but I'm excited to wrap that up and get that program kicked off.
And just to say, they just about a week ago, they got it approved by the county commission. So they had to transfer the program from the recreation department over to the sheriff's department. So that was one of the hangups as well.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm excited about that. So this is the first year after we went through budget workshop that I didn't remember anyone from the city manager's office asking if I, as an elected, had anything that I would like to bring up during budget. So I did email two things today to staff. One is my continued request to please recover these nasty benches that have been spilled on, peed on. The mayor shaking her head. No, they are gross. They're disgusting.
I'm not arguing.
It's nothing to rip off the padding and put new padding and covering on. So I would love to get consensus to possibly look at that cost. I've done chairs at my gym, so I know it's not that expensive. And the other one was last year we had given $75,000 to Healthier Lake Worth Beach to assist with code remediation and the Healthier Neighbors program. And that I did not see in the budget line item again for this year. So I'm going to be asking if we can continue that with Healthier Lake Worth Beach. they actually in that program with code remediation, and Carmel will be here in July to give a presentation. I think she said they spent over $86,000 in a total. So we kicked in 75 just for that one program. So she will be here to do a presentation in July, and I'm hoping that we can get consensus to help continue funding that and helping people who don't have funds, who don't have resources, get in compliance with small things that we can, assist with on the city level. So Thursday is the Business Advisory Board meeting at the City Library at 6:30. Tomorrow is Royal Poinciana Neighborhoods meeting at the Bohemian, where we will have a presentation by Stu, who's already gone, on the new possible park improvements to replace the futsal court that's been destroyed, and to give the city residents some options on what we could do instead of the futsal court, which is very sad, especially since they had a beautiful futsal court to play soccer on, and then now they're destroying our fields. So that's going to be tomorrow at the Bohemian at 7 o'clock. And today I had the pleasure of meeting the CRA and Congresswoman Lois Frankel's legislative team from DC at two of the properties that we've done with affordable housing with the CRA. One was a community land trust house on E Street, and the other one was a Habitat for Humanity house. And these are pretty much the team, the staff that write the legislation, the ask. So for them to see the ask go from paper to being voted on, to the check being presented, to the final product, and then learning how the people get their homes and the process that they each have to go through, the work that the Habitat homeowners have to put in. It was really, really interesting. I think we had 8 people there total of her younger staff, legislative aides. And I was sad that she couldn't attend. Trevor was there. But, just to teach these kids that, here's the fruits of your labor, right? Like it does make a difference in our little town. And what did they give us? 750,000, I think, was our last big bucket that we got from her. So thank you to Congresswoman Lois Frankel for all her hard work and dedication to the city of Lake Worth Beach. Oh, and Stonewall Ball is Saturday. Thank you all for sponsoring and supporting. I was notified today that Commissioner McVoy has now come on board as a supporter as well. So see you all Saturday. Wear your lavender, and our own Ramsey McLeod is being recognized.
Oh, wait, lavender. I thought it was 20.
It's 20s, but it's called the Lavender Lounge.
But
so I know that Ramsey does not like to be publicly brought out, but her face is literally everywhere right now. So I'm very excited for her to be honored and receive the award. It's much needed and well over deserved. Thank you.
Ooh, go witches. Oh, I went 20s. Listen. Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, when we talk about the beach club, when it comes back to us, my question, and I don't know an answer right now, but if we're gonna have these sort of if it goes out, if the ITN goes out, and we have the kind of rankings that we've done before for the city, who is a group for the city manager's office. I would like to know or get feedback about having one of the rubric. Ooh, that's such a math word. So scared. That local business be weighted. That if we're going to go for the ITN, I think we all love the beach club, but I would like to see them recognize that be something that is considered in the rankings, in the scoring system. Okay, thank you. A gentleman came up earlier and said, they had to pay so much money for their fees that we raised, but I've also noticed there's a lot less stuff on the street.
And the department confirmed that.
Yeah,
they said it's night and day that it has been good deterrent.
Yep. I know there's not a park, there's not a sign up in the leisure. What? Don't laugh at Miss May. She's a pistol. On the leisure services building, we need a sign parking across the street. We asked about that. Okay. Because people, that is it's a great spot. but it's a really unfriendly place to go because you don't know where you're supposed to park. So if we could do that as quickly as possible. I'm going to be coming back with more specifics about you have a request for the budget regarding the beach invasives. But I've been in touch with the group, getting more information about how much it would be and see if there's possible grants. What? At the beach, there are, years ago, there was this amazing dune restoration project, which everyone participated in, and some invasives. I've mentioned this before. Some invasive has gotten in there. Invasives. Yeah. So I'd like to remove the invasives, and, it was a great project. I'd like to remove them and replace them with natives. So I will come back to you. That's going to be a budget request. Well, the invasives. I'm going to come back with a request for the budget for that because I think that is a good, important project for our city. I think that's about all I have. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, Madam Mayor, the three items that I was going to cover,
Mhm.
you guys already covered them.
Oh,
And so we'll just make sure we bring, I did have the, send an email to the clerk to make sure she sends me that general information about the, increase in fees, and I call them and explain it to them, exactly what happened and why it's like that. And then we'll follow with the other items that were brought up tonight.
what were they?
Moving the lease, all the items that you talked about.
Oh, great.
I have noted we'll follow up on them, make sure they're completed.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
Mhm.
Madam Attorney, do you have anything?
Just real quick, wanted to let you all know that we are working with your staff and making sure that as legislation gets adopted, that that we're staying on top of that and changes are being made, implemented. And to give you a foreshadowing of things to come, we have ordinances in the works regarding the amendments to property registration that you all have already taken up, but also artificial turf, vacation rentals. You saw the first step at the business licensing today, and then there will be some additional changes to tree enforcement.
There was a big brouhaha about that amazing tree that got cut down. Well, it broke. I don't know the back. Apparently they did get a permit to do it. Was it done? Yeah, listen, I looked at that house to buy once just because of that tree, right? But nothing lasts forever. I live under three. If you know my house, I have crazy ficus trees, and they're ficus, so I don't know if I guess I'd need a permit, but I don't want to cut them down. But it's frightening when you realize that if the tree goes down, it's going to take the house with it. I've had to replace all of my plumbing already because it's a ficus tree. Stupid tree I didn't plant it, but it was really heartbreaking to see it go, whether it's a real problem or not. I was just very sad. I think that's all I had. Oh, are we gonna get the outcome? There was a motion to dismiss. Do we have a ruling on the downtown lawsuit yet?
Not yet, but we'll follow up on that.
And that's in
again.
front of Halfway?
I don't remember
Okay.
the judge.
I can look it up. Okay, thank you. Second. I also